this the intro?
Let's go. We got Mr. Calvin in the building.
Calvin,
Let's go.
you know.
Let's go.
What?
Let's go. We got Mr. Calvin in the building. Let's
Listen, if you don't know this
You don't know what's
guy,
coming.
and you live in KW, is it possible? Is it possible to live in KW and not know Mr. Calvin?
No. It's not. Well,
I don't think so, man.
if you're like brand new, then yeah. As they say,
Yeah.
you could be in a river and the soap can still get in your eyes.
I don't understand what you're saying, but okay.
So you can be in a river and the soap can still be getting in your eyes.
I still don't get it.
You still don't get it?
No.
If you don't know Mr. Kevin, I don't know where you're getting haircuts from.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I see
Nah,
what
I get
you're saying.
your
When I explain proverb to you, it means you haven't lived in the village.
No, but James grew up in the village.
Well, James grew up in the rural area. They're kind of two different things.
It's still a village. It's a village. Yeah. A village. Village is a rural
Could you
area.
move it closer? I mean the mic. Yeah. So you're good, yeah? Of course. So he picks it up. Really? Carly, you've known Kevin, more than myself.
Oh.
How many years is it now?
Well, I can't tell you, but it's over a decade.
What do you can't tell
It's
me?
over a
Like, this is
decade.
not like high information.
No, well, it's okay. Let me put it in concept. In context. Well, sorry.
Context, yeah.
When I got to this country, there was a guy. We went to a barber shop. We were looking for to cut our hair. So we stumbled on this white barber shop,
Okay.
and we were about 10 of us. We walked in there. They messed up the first
10
person.
men in a white barber shop.
Yeah. We walked in there. They messed up the first person's hair.
Oh boy, and you ran.
We didn't run. We were looking at it like, oh, maybe the first mistake. He didn't mess it up. Let's pardon it.
Damn.
The second one, then the third one, my friend just looked at me and he said, no, we can't stand here. So he was the one that said, let's live here.
That's X.
Like, let's find.
So when we lived
Yeah.
there, we were walking around, then we found Kevin's shop.
Are you serious?
You walking.
Yeah, Kevin, yeah,
Are you serious?
we found Kevin's shop. And when we found the shop, it's the most fun place I've seen, since I got into this country. It's fun apart from the club.
The vibe there.
And I wasn't even charging admission back then.
Yeah. So you get into the shop,
Yeah.
the shop is busy. You have over 28 to 30 people. 15 people standing, 5 people playing game.
Are you serious?
Nintendo
So
or
it's fun. Yeah, it's
Xbox.
big, yeah.
Are you serious?
Like you, yeah.
The shop, there was something going on in the shop. And I see Kevin and like 2 other barbers, and I said, wow. And he looked at me and said,
This is it.
that's a long wait. And I said, we're ready to wait.
That's it.
So
Yeah, that
hold
was,
on, there was most likely 20 people there, and then you were coming with like 8 people.
Yes.
I know.
So like
Yes.
30, like with the
That
30
was
of them.
pretty. That was pretty common downtown.
Yeah, that was common downtown, yes.
yeah.
That's
Every
almost,
single-
that's
busy,
almost
man.
a club number.
Yeah, I know.
Almost.
Straight up. There was
But
we
you know-
fight for seats.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know anything, Carly, about Kelvin? Like it is like he goes straight in immediately, like into the conversation.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
He's someone who is very, very conversational, and that's
Yes,
actually why I like
yes,
it.
yeah.
But then, like,
Right.
we know you,
Right.
But then we want you to introduce, yourself to our audience and just basically tell us, of course, your name, what you do, and yeah.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
Kevin Francis, Diverse Barbershop, 8 Jackson Avenue. Been in business for close to 21 years. 1 years now. Been doing close to 30.
Amazing.
Just very blessed to be in a situation serving the community, especially Kitchener-Waterloo. Kitchener-Waterloo is it's growing.
Yep.
It has grown in terms of it over the years. Especially, I think, the start when RIM was here and BlackBerry, Google coming in. I like Kitchener-Waterloo in terms of it. It's very multicultural, but still not too city like Toronto, but not too rural.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the middle.
Yeah. That right spot.
Traffic.
Trust me, bro.
Yeah. So, but you have to get used to the pace. Some people in the city, they move fast, and they always want something. So it's a pace that you have to get used to. Once you get comfortable and you know your niche business-wise and you feel comfortable in it, I think this is a place to stay.
100%.
That's why you see like Toyota, big company, Google. Like a lot of those companies have actually been here and set mark here because I was looking between Windsor and Toronto and then centralized towards Niagara Falls also. Because we're like that central. It's not overly, not yet. It's getting there possibly. a nice little hub of where you can raise your family. That's where I started off in terms of it's a great place to raise your kids.
Nice.
Not too overly urban, not priced as close to Toronto like Pickering and all those places, but still enough you can get to city. That's one thing I like. Sometimes I just bounce to the city half an hour, 35 minutes, or 40 minutes, an hour downtown.
Yeah.
You can get there.
Yeah.
I find London is just a little too far off. You're about 2 hours, just in case you want
Yeah,
to
from
get
Toronto,
to it.
yeah.
I hope you're
Especially
taking
in the
notes.
snowstorm and all that stuff. But
I hope you're taking notes, James.
Yeah,
But where are you going to raise your family? Because anyway,
Yeah, it's a
like
place
I
to
don't know
live,
for
yeah.
you, like are you a type of Toronto person, like, or you prefer to stay here?
No, I like Toronto. I like going to Toronto. You know, like once
Like
in a
once
while
in a
to like
while.
shop, you can check it out. You know, but to live there, I don't think I don't see it like that. For
Why?
me.
honestly,
It's too fast,
Yeah.
or
Yeah, it's too busy. It's way too busy for me. Way too busy. I like it. It's more, you know, steady. You can move around.
it's calm, it's steady.
It's more, yeah.
Down.
And traffic is a big
It really
thing.
depends on you. I think at the end of the day, Toronto. I see people with Toronto and their whole environment is Toronto. Like in terms of the city, in terms of what the resources around them will actually maximize them to be. Kitchener-Waterloo, in terms of what I do, I could be was successful in Toronto and be very successful in Toronto. But coming out here is really about having the right ratio where I can work like in the city, but still have the resources like a place that's not overly busy.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm talking, not saying competition or like that, but having that resource where you have that availability, where you can have the resource to cut in the city or have the talent to cut in the city, but still have enough availability to serve greater. Because honestly, to tell you the truth, I serve more than Kitchener-Waterloo. Like people from Stratford, I have people
Coming
from
through, yeah, from
Elmira, people from Ayr,
Nice.
and those are people like you're coming out half an hour outside of us, right?
Dumb.
So it's not even, and what it is because we're so spaced apart, but we all cater to having that same need. And that's the thing about this area sometimes is I find, like there's 2 Costcos, but if you look at Costco in Waterloo, not everybody in Waterloo are taking Costco. You have people, all the guys, the Mennonites are taking the Costco way out that don't have the resources. People that were in Cambridge, there's some people that didn't have that in Hamilton, a Costco before, and they were coming
they'll
all the
come
way
through, yeah.
to Cambridge.
Dumb.
I mean, it's changed now, but I mean, there's no Costco in Ayr, right? There's no Costco in, Breslau and those places. So they cater. I would say if you have something in the city itself that people want, and you just got to know your worth.
Honestly, man, I love this city. Like, trust me. Toronto is nice, Toronto is good, but trust me, man, I love this city. But see, before we move forward, I would like to welcome you guys to our first entrepreneurial series. So Kevin is our first guest
good.
on our entrepreneurial series.
Welcome.
Kevin is our first guest on our
Welcome,
entrepreneurial
welcome.
series. So really, the essence of this series is just to speak to business owners in KW. KW
Okay,
stands
cool.
for Kitchener-Waterloo. Really, we just want to get to know business owners and know the businesses they do. Want to know how they got started in business. Want to know what
Right.
keeps them going. Want to know the challenges they face. In business in this city. We also want to know how the pandemic affected things and how they're bouncing back steadily.
Right.
We also want to know how they're leveraging on current technologies, to advance their business. And if they have any prediction regarding their niche. So, what you think, this business niche in another 10 years, this XYZ could probably happen. And then most importantly, really, it's actually for new people who want to get into those
that
businesses, to learn, So really, we are going to be speaking to a lot of business owners, across the city, and want to actually learn. We also want other people in the city to learn from them.
Okay.
So hi, I'm Mitkel. So while I was preparing for this podcast, I was thinking, how did I meet you? And then honestly, I swear to God, I did not do any search or anything. But then the date I went, I swear, I'm being serious. The date I went to get my haircut, I remember that day is 5th of February 2020. I don't know how the 5th of February is stuck in my head. I'm damn serious.
I thought you
was
were
it your
gonna
first
say.
haircut here?
I thought you were gonna say I saw Kali's hair. Online.
No, then I've
Put
never
me
met
on.
you. Then I've never met you at all.
You're still a pedestrian.
Because I remember then I was staying with Solomon, and then
okay.
actually, so I just came. Trust me, my hair was
Off the
looking rough
boat.
already. the guy said off the boots. My hair was looking rough already. I'm like, okay, I need to go get, a cut. And then Solomon was like, okay, yeah, there's a guy. And then we drove, and then, we found the place, and trust me, it was my first haircut in this country.
Oh, really?
Number one, I'm skeptical of people
Yes.
touching my hair.
Yes.
Because I don't know what they would do.
Once they mess it up, that's it. You gotta wait.
Trust
Yes.
me,
And
How
man.
long?
And then,
Our hair
the
took
thing-
forever to grow.
then we had not even fully gotten into lockdown. It was just
Yeah, it was just
getting
before, kinda,
started.
We're trying to understand what's going on.
Yeah, we're still. So number one, we got in. I think he was cutting someone, and so we sat down. Solomon cut his hair. I'm like, okay, yeah. I think I can, because trust me, I was not going to go first. Never, bro.
I want to see it
Never,
first.
bro. Let me
You gotta
see
see
it
it first. Then,
Well, that's the thing. You got to watch the man first, right?
Yeah.
I'm serious,
Everybody's
bro.
a
Yeah, it
little
does.
different, right?
Yeah. So-
sometimes you go off of. I think the best thing in my business is word of mouth. One. I'll take anybody that's Google, but word of mouth always gets in because you have that one. But you always got to watch.
see how
Every
they-
barber has a different way of
Different
doing this
style,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. Solomon went in.
Yeah.
Solomon went in, and then he cut his hair. And
Well,
then I'm
like-
like, okay, yeah, this guy is good.
yeah. Was it his first though? Or, but he knew already that.
No,
he's
Solomon
been-
already knew.
Yeah,
But then
okay,
I
okay,
don't
you can-
see anything. You
Yeah, oh, so
understand?
you wanted to, yeah.
Of course. So I actually wanted
What
to
happened
see.
already? Okay.
And then I saw, and then he asked me like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Fade."
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah. And then he
You
did.
got a fade for me.
Listen, let me tell
They got a
you.
fit for him.
Back in Nigeria, I'm not dissing anybody. Back in Nigeria, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, when they are actually like shaping,
Yeah.
like putting
Like
shape on
hairline?
your head, the way they, when they're putting hairline on your head, the way they use powder to mess the whole thing up. When you
Okay.
now go home and have your bath,
That's it. You take a bath.
and you
It's
go
gone.
off,
You wash everything
oh,
off.
It's gone.
So what's that?
Leaning.
I don't get what it
Powder.
means.
So they do stuff to mark.
Just to line
your
it up to see where the line
So
is.
it brings it out more.
What's
powder.
What?
bro.
It's an enhancement. A hair enhancement.
so when you come and take a shower, the thing's gone.
So it looks like you have the sharpest lineup. Because look, if you have ashy skin, right?
Yeah, you put lotion.
You
Yeah.
see white, right?
Yeah.
So you can put those enhancements where look your hairline. That's what I think about social media too, and especially Instagram. A
Interesting.
lot of the stuff, there's a lot of cheat codes on it, right?
Yeah.
You can look,
Yeah.
you can make something there that's not there.
I would like
That's
to-
the age we're in now. So
Wow.
it's nothing. I have no problem with it when it's in the right context. But you have to really, especially me as a barber. Some people show me. I think 70% or 80% of the pictures people show me are fake. Like have a bit of enhancement.
Yeah.
Of course,
So it's
of
a false
course.
sense
Everyone
of,
exactly
Of
that. Yeah, you
course.
can't. Yeah.
false,
Stop now.
false sense of the security, or in terms of. I think it's great to have it just for a generalization, but to make it look exactly like that.
Yeah.
You know what? There's a lot of guys out there that have enhancements in their hair, even basketball players. You would never know.
Listen,
That's true.
I see the hair
I can tell
transplants.
you one. A lot of people don't
it's
understand.
not,
If you
it's
watch
not
this.
about hair transplant.
No, it's
like,
just-
I actually want to finish that story because trust me, when I got home, yeah, and then trust me, bro, I had my bath and the hairline was still there. Okay, this is different.
Yeah.
Trust me, I made a post. I'm being serious
thinking-
about it.
But you know
This
what?
guy's thinking, what happened back home? You're
I'm
like,
being serious
God,
about it. I'm
I don't
like,
wanna, yeah.
this is the first time I'm cutting my hair, and I had my bath after cutting my hair.
And then Helen is there
Because
still.
listen, you only have that 5 minutes of looking so fine.
Settle down.
Yeah.
In between cutting the hair
Yeah.
and having your bath, that's when you are. Just once you cut that hair, it's done.
It's done,
Listen,
yeah. You gotta wait now. If it's messed up, it's messed up. That's it. You gotta live with
But you
it.
know what? To me, I think enhancements is a way
Yeah,
for
live with it,
a
yeah.
bad barber to cover up his work.
Oh man.
So if you have a bad haircut, it's a good way to cover up.
Oh.
And I've seen it. Like, don't get me wrong. I think back in the day, in terms of that, and I noticed that like Will Smith and like Martin Lawrence and all those guys, I always looked at haircuts. Like their haircuts are always like Will Smith's haircut in movies always look tight.
Fresh, yeah.
Especially Martin Lawrence too.
That's
But
right,
back
yeah.
then they used enhancement, but then now you see
You
guys
mean enhancements in their pictures or what?
in their pictures and then in the movies too.
Are you
Yeah,
serious?
with all the makeup, yeah.
For the hairline.
If
Yeah,
you
for
know,
pictures,
if you know
yeah.
Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, those guys are great. But if
This
you look
guy,
at the movies, there's enhancements in it.
did
So
you see
I
Paul?
think it's good because you want to maximize your product, right? You know what I mean? Like you don't want to, especially when you have photo edits in terms of pictures and stuff. You want to maximize every blemish you have. I get it.
Yeah, blemish. Yeah.
Listen,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
As a barber, for me, I do not dabble too much in it. One, because I don't know what's in that stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Long term.
Oh.
You know, it's,
What
I'd
do
be
you use?
spraying stuff in there. No, I'm not gonna step into that, but it could. Not saying it could be just be fine, but I'm just saying like, I don't need to. My work will speak for itself. I think once you wash your hair and stuff. But in the right context, I get some guys who want to use enhancements if they want to.
Trust
they
me,
want to bring it
man.
out depending on the
Like
context.
I was super proud and I was super happy.
Okay.
And this is actually the first time I'm hearing that they actually use enhancement because
yeah.
I watch
What
Power.
do you think it is?
I watch Power.
Power.
Yeah,
Probably
yes.
sure, yeah.
And
Oh,
then,
yeah. Those guys
And
are
then
enhancements.
Tariq.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tariq's
Hair is
hairline
always
always
sharp.
bro. Always sharp,
Clean,
bro.
yeah.
And like I'm always wondering
how, yeah.
how
Does
is
he have
this
a barber
possible?
with him
So
every time?
really,
That's like
you know what? It's
something wonder, man. I'm like,
I get it. You want to maximize.
God.
You want to maximize it, right? It's on TV and everywhere. Like you see it. I see it every day. Like Jalen Rose.
Oh yeah,
Basketball.
bro.
Like that's not real hair. His hair
Is
is
it
great.
always, man?
Oh, really?
That's
yeah.
great. Yeah, he.
Oh, you see it?
Spit that. He, like,
It's always
I
clean.
follow his barber online, but he's known for an enhancement barber. I'm not saying nothing because he does a really good job enhancing his hair.
Yeah, his
But I
always
mean-
tight, man.
So is that an extra money that people pay
That's
for?
what it is.
Yeah.
So I think.
Kali, I don't know why
honestly,
you're asking this
in terms of
question,
business,
because-
your
Spanish,
hair.
because what I'm
your hair
saying is that if you do it, just be consistent.
Yeah.
No matter
Oh, you
Do it
can't
once
go
in a
back.
while, and then
that's
yeah.
all I say. Just be consistent.
So you can go back.
I won't do it because I'm not consistent to do it. You know what I mean? Like if you want to do it, then do it all the time. Be consistent to your client. Don't be telling them one day, whatever.
And then
you know what I mean?
next day you don't
One day I want to do it. Don't
So
wanna do
what is it? What is the enhancement? Is it like a
there's hair
drug?
fibers. There's fibers you can spray in. You never seen it on IG.
It's like a
before?
dye, basically.
I've seen it,
There's
but the
guys.
one I saw. The one I saw is
There's
like
many of them.
it's like the hair. So the guy.
Okay, you're talking about man weave.
Oh, I don't know. That's man weave.
Just man weave, man.
But the
Just
guy-
a guy
the guy-
that I know how to
Yeah,
man
there
weave
is,
done.
Yeah, the guy didn't have hair.
Yes, and you put the thing in, you cut the hair with.
It was
blade.
crazy. So the guy put
jump
the
in the
hair.
pool.
on the head.
Put it on the head. You
Jump in
will
the
know.
Yeah.
No, I've
It looks
seen
real.
some crazy things.
But you know what?
yeah,
Here in
like
Canada, like guys have done it, and whatever. But I just think in the States it's a lot more prevalent.
before we start
Yeah, sure.
speaking and
Yeah.
delving deeper into trust me, I'm already beginning to enjoy the conversation. We've never even started.
Go ahead.
I'm being serious, bro.
That's
but
a
yeah,
whole-
like
that's
you know,
all, I think hair stuff and all that stuff is a whole. topic.
trust me, man.
Yeah,
Trust me,
that
man.
enhancement
Trust
will
me.
be its own
Yeah.
podcast.
But-
so that I can learn more.
But let's go a little bit, all the way back. So what's your background?
So my parents are both Jamaican.
Oh, nice.
They came here in the 70s.
Nice.
They actually made it here in Canada. Yeah, most people think I'm half white, but no.
I'm serious.
Full Jamaican. No, because it's so light, right? Like,
serious.
I think-
Light
I
eyes.
think 'cause it's
Oh,
light,
really?
yeah.
It's a light eyes. Yeah,
I'm serious,
Both
bro.
my parents are fair skinned Jamaicans. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
First generation.
They're both Jamaican. Yeah,
Full Jamaican, yeah.
Oh wow.
So it means you were born
I was born here. I was born in Toronto. Yeah,
Damn.
Oh,
And
wait.
then you grew up in Toronto.
yeah.
and-
So
and
I
all.
grew up in born in Toronto. Moved down here as a kid. I lived in Cambridge for most of my life, and I moved back to Toronto to learn hair and do hair and all that stuff.
So who was Kelvin at 10?
Sorry,
Who was like? Can you describe yourself at 10?
at 10,
What kind of kid were you?
man, at 10.
Were you kind of like a creeper going
That's
around?
great.
calling
That's
people-
great. That's grade 3 or something. Man. Grade 3 was grade 4.
Maybe.
You know what? I was an art kid the
grade
whole
4,
time.
eh?
Honestly, tell you the truth,
Yeah.
me as a young kid, it was just a free loaning kid. Wasn't even engaged in school at all.
Yeah, you're running around,
Yeah.
doing kids stuff.
It took me a time where my dad had to sit me down and say, "Yo, you have to do school." You know what I mean? To really get me in. Then I started really engaging in school and started doing well, involve myself in sports.
Nice.
But that's the thing about my trade, and I'm very blessed to say that, is that I love art.
Okay.
I love interior design. I love art.
Nice.
Like dressing well, like just love art. That's the root of me cutting hair. My
Nice.
expression
you came from.
of cutting hair is my form of art. Everybody.
Right on.
So that's really starts. I think if you have something in life, and it's hard, especially 18 years, you throw you in the rat race of life and tell you.
I
find something.
swear, bro.
I think I always tell people, and I tell kids all the time, find something that you enjoy or you're good at, and find a career that kind of caters to that niche. Of, if you can, you know what I mean. Like art, I really liked art. So haircutting is a form of art, is my expression, which is my passion.
At the beginning, you said.
Yeah, so it's funny enough because I won an art competition when I was 5 years old.
Nice.
And I did it, honestly, I didn't try. it was,
But it was
like a
good.
little
It,
side
like, it
thing.
must have been really good.
And my
Yeah,
dad-
it must
my
have
dad-
been.
all
my
that
dad-
kids there, though, man.
My dad
There
came
is
back,
something,
he's like,
bro.
yo, you won I won the competition, like $100 from like, it was like a 12-year-old. I was like, wow. Because I think there's always, I didn't think I knew it was good, but I didn't think it was good enough. But I always loved to draw. Always loved to draw back in the day. So that's one thing. You know, and growing up when I was in high school, I liked science to an extent. So there was a decision I didn't make at the time. But honestly, I'm just very thankful that I stuck with something. I had an idea and I stuck with it.
That you like that.
Because it started off with just art, and then a need, especially the time that I was in. And then I saw a need where everybody on my basketball team at the time was going to a different place to get their haircut, right? So at the time, my brother used to come, cut my hair at the time, but he never came down to cut my hair. So I decided to practice on my brother. I have a younger brother, which I started practicing on him. And then I had a couple of friends that, allowed me to, and they actually paid me like $5.
Oh,
Yeah, friends that paid me
What at what age was that?
That was probably around 14, 15.
okay, so he's learning kind of.
Yeah.
Wow.
First time I tried it myself, didn't go too well.
Yeah, like I feel like cutting your own hair is always the hardest. I think.
no,
I think it's the hardest,
Let
man.
me tell you something.
But you know what, to tell you the truth?
Never thought about it.
A lot of people do it, eh?
No,
A lot of people.
believe it or not, I did it then when I first started, but then I didn't cut my hair up until about 7 years ago, 6 years ago. My other guys that work with me usually
They just cut
do
it.
it.
Yeah.
I actually prefer like somebody else doing it.
Of
Cutting it.
course.
Yeah, 'cause I think it's
Some
harder,
barbers
man.
love
Just-
cutting their own
yeah,
hair. I'm
like-
the type of person.
Except-
I like.
except you want to
I think
draw
it's more
anything, yeah.
relaxing.
Yeah, I know.
It's
Yeah.
conversation, all the rest of it. To me, I just do it by necessity because it's around, and who am I gonna call another barber to do it for me? Like unless it's very important. Like I'll holler at somebody else if I have something extremely important to see
Yeah,
and
you
I
want
want
it
it to
to
look
look,
very good in the back and all the rest of it.
Then you
I'll
get
sit
somebody
down.
there.
So always pay. Like I would say, I would actually sit in the next man's chair in terms of I don't really have the time sometimes, but to sit in the next man's chair and appreciate his craft. And then pay him exactly what you feel. You know what I'm saying?
In fact,
Because
you
I
already,
think-
you've
for me, I
already
think it's-
gotten into like the next
Right.
question I wanted to
We're
ask.
going
I
right
wanted, I wanted to ask you, like, when did you start taking interest into barbing and all? Like, so which do you prefer to be called? A barber, a hairstylist?
So that's the thing. I'm a traditional old school barber, but I'm a licensed hairstylist. So barber stylist. I think that's why my brand sets myself apart from a lot of was the first one. And I seen this coming, and I think a lot of shops have caught up to it somewhat. Is that my predominantly when I first started off was I would say curly hair clientele. When I went to hair school, I went to an Italian hair school, which I learned a lot about straight hair and a lot of styling and roller sets and all that other world. So I am a licensed hairstylist, but I do more barbering.
Okay.
But they always cross. And
But
I think
what's the
I
difference,
respect
though?
both of them. Honestly, I respect hairstylists, especially like sectioning hair out properly. In hair school, I used to do like 8-year-old women just do the roll sets, put them under the dryer. You know what I mean? And that whole art is very specialized in its own. Blow drying is a whole technique. Putting highlights and foils in is not my specialty, but I respect anybody that has their own niche. You know what I mean?
So there's a difference between hairstyling and barbing.
Yes. Yes.
Can you tell us?
So okay, so with more barbering, so hairstylist is more generally a woman's hair, right? You're using many different tools.
Okay.
Usually heating or cooling down or whatever. Scissors, scissor and comb. Even at that, there's many techniques. I would say in terms of barbering, you're predominantly using a clipper. You're using clipper. And then there's people, then nowadays there's hybrids and styles. Like you'll have a woman with a shorter kind of guy's haircut. So you got to merge both styles with scissors, and you got to have clipper neck knowledge too. So it's kind of hard to say. It's kind of interchanging, like a Rubik's Cube. You know what I mean? For me, when someone tells me about a haircut, I'm already thinking about it in my head before I do it. You have to have a guidebook before you start doing it. Otherwise, you'd be in trouble in between. Yeah. You might get little.
You get in a meeting, you're like, oh.
Yeah, you have to envision it first before you even touch someone's head, and kind of go walk through it that way, right? So in terms of hairstylists, yes, you do more. I would say longer hair. I would say more than 3.5 inches.
Okay.
Barbering, I would say, is predominantly clippers.
Oh, 20 years into this, it means that you started when you were a kid.
Say 30.
30, yeah. So I would say
I'm saying 30 years
early
into
20s.
this. So like
my early teens, I would say, as the first one I first started pushing into it. Yeah.
How did family feel about you deciding this is the direction I want to go?
You know what? I'll be very thankful. My parents have been very supportive since the beginning. They never said that you have to be this or that. They just allowed me to do what I needed to do. my parents never directed me to say you had, I had some Indian friends, they'd said, they had to be an engineer. Or my parents just said, just find your way and find your path, and we'll support you through it.
That's what's up.
So I'm very thankful that I had.
For us, back home, like that's crazy because like
I don't,
most African
think, I don't
parents.
think Thomas can say that now.
But hey, say something,
Yeah,
James.
no, like I was saying,
Very
like
thankful.
yeah, like it's good that like your parents were
Very supportive, very thankful. I have
they were
really
there
good
supportive
parents.
of you.
Thankful they're still together today
Oh,
and
that's
all the
good.
rest of it. So yeah, they allowed me and actually gave me the resources to start off. So that's why I went to first thing when I started, I was like, you know what? I may think that I'm good at cutting my friends in my house right now, but I need to test the world right now.
So yeah.
So
So
put
how did
myself-
you, how did
So-
you get started?
So you
out
know what?
there?
I was very fortunate. My older brother, he was well connected in Toronto, and he linked me on one of the top shops in Toronto. Which at that time, I ran into a guy the other day. He knows about the shop he's working. He used to work at Loose Ends. Yeah. So
So this is downtown Toronto.
yeah. So they used to do the Raptors, Blue Jays, which some of them used to cut. And the guy, my mentor, I'm very, very thankful for. He used to do a lot of the top guys in Toronto. He told me the story, and I learned a lot from him in terms of even his mentality. He used to go into their hotel rooms and cut all those guys.
Damn.
Wow. So
He cut Dave Chappelle back in Half Baked.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So he was, and you know what? He had the personality to do it. So just watching him and the way he moved. Well, I actually was very fortunate because the shop I worked at the time was like the shop to go to. But what had happened was there were 4 barbers there at the time, 4 chairs, and 2 of them split off. And that other barbershop was just as big. One of the guys used to call Tracy McGrady back in the day. Like they were both. It was like kind of like, the
Toss.
2 big powers, and it allowed me the opportunity to step in.
Just having help out. Yeah.
But they got someone like me kind of step in that was moldable.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't want an egotistical guy telling me, I want to
like-
make this. They wanted a guy to be groomed, and I was that guy to be groomed. I had to put up a lot, and I think it actually I learned a lot in terms of patience in terms of it, and just understanding people. Like I would get them coffee. Well, I wouldn't get coffee, but I would do all the dirty work. First thing they throw me is all the people they didn't want to cut.
Are you serious?
Yeah, because that got me. Now it's perfect for me because I know if you don't want to cut, like I can cut anybody now. You know what I mean? Even the kid that's moving around, the one, you know what I mean, the person that whatever.
Yeah.
So it's good to start. These threw me all the kids, and cutting kids are tough.
Yeah, because it's moving.
Bro,
around,
getting
right?
them
Oh,
down.
like, to
Especially
stay still is
nowadays.
real.
Back in
Yeah.
the day, it wasn't nothing, especially nowadays. Nowadays they have the parents' expectations are higher because they want a lot more intricate styles and all that stuff.
Oh my God.
And I
Speaking
think it
about
was
that,
good for me to start off with kids too, because it started you from the bottom to learn the moving around and got patient with it, and you have to make it your best product. So you might as well start from the worst, and starting a kid that's moving around to make it really good. So someone that's sitting still, you have a lot of there's a lot of it's easier. You know what I mean? So starting from that, I was very appreciative that they even gave me the opportunity. Because to tell you the truth, the credentials that I came in off of just cutting off in my basement, I wasn't qualified to work in that shop. I wasn't.
For real, bro.
No, so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes opportunity knocks. You just got to step into it. And I was very thankful they were patient with me in that process to develop me. And there was a certain time when I first came in, I was just like happy to get the job. I was so happy about just being in this spot, because it was a happening spot. But then there was a time where I got pulled aside and I said, you know what? You have to really put in the work. So that's actually was one monumental time what happened where I just said, you know what? I'm going to be the best barber I can be. And it took, honestly, about a year for me to kind of haircut by haircut. And I would watch. Even to this day, I still watch. I still look at other people's haircuts. The first thing I look at somebody is their haircut. It defines exactly how. I can tell a lot about someone's haircut.
Okay, so when you look at me today, what do you do?
I would say, Kelly Joe,
Hey, I'm
you got a hoodie?
no,
No, but I'm saying defines you. I'm just saying this.
Yeah.
It could say something about you in terms of it. You know what I mean?
Describe your first day in that store. I mean, like your first day was coming out.
Nervous. And when I'm in Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah, just big nervous because you're cutting your friends and, okay, so that's the thing with cutting hair too. It's psychological, right? You have to perform, cut, but then you have to engage with other people at the same time. So they can be talking
You're
conversation.
multitasking.
Yeah, so you can be cutting.
Listen, man.
That's crazy.
They be
Yeah, 'cause
talking,
if you just quiet,
you be talking,
people-
you
yeah,
talking,
you gotta-
but then they're engaging conversation and you have to engage in
You have to.
while do your work. So you're multitasking.
Yeah.
And then be on point because they're cracking jokes at you and then you have to crack jokes back. So it's not, so there's
true.
levels to the game.
Yeah.
Like nowadays,
that-
I work
like,
like
that's
pretty
very
much. I
important,
work
man.
a couple people, whatever. I'm not like I mean, and I worked engaged, but back in the day, you had to be sharp. Especially, I was the young guy they were plugging at, right? Oh, Kevin's the crack of all jokes.
Of
right?
course, they would only
working,
throw
yeah.
mods at you.
Yeah, so you have to be sharp. But what it is, it was training me. It was training me to be psychologically sharp. Even to this day, you know, I watch people every single day psychologically. It's cutting hair, but seeing how people move and their patterns. You know what I mean? Nowadays, it's different because people have phones and they have outlets.
There was just, yeah.
Oh, man. Like, listen, if you go to your barber shop and you're getting your hair cut and you're on your phone, trust me,
I can't,
Listen,
I'd rather just be, you know,
No,
have a
but you know
conversation
what?
on
I think with phones.
why?
Okay, well, some
But you
people,
can't even- once
honestly,
it
I
comes-
think sometimes people, especially that I know my shop, sometimes that's their only outlet of life. Sometimes they're so busy with the kids and all that stuff. The barbershop for the time that there's a little me time.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
So I
I
mean,
honestly think it's the me time between myself and the barber.
okay.
I mean that time.
Yeah, like having a conversation.
Like,
Like,
really?
No,
one
well,
time I had,
so
yeah.
there's context. There's some people that will bring their work to my chair, you know, and depending on who that is. Like sometimes it's a form of respect. Would you do that to your dentist? No, you wouldn't. If you're a dentist, you wouldn't be.
Yeah, you can't, yeah.
You wouldn't, you know, working on your teeth. You wouldn't.
No, it's
so
really repeat your
It's
teeth.
all you say time and place. Right?
Can't do that.
That's a
Time
good
and place.
point.
And I think it
yeah.
depends on the client too, and that's how you have to be. You have to be moldable too, right? Every client has a certain
Adaptable.
way. Yes, adapt.
Yeah.
Adapt to their needs, someone's needs too, in terms of understanding their lifestyle and how they want to carry it out. But then you have to set your precedents too, of saying, okay, well, this is not acceptable. You reaching for your chair halfway through your haircut is going to mess your haircut up.
Yeah.
Don't blame me, right?
Yeah, because moving around, yeah.
In the beginning,
Right.
when you got started,
Right.
what were some of the challenges you encountered?
You mean when I opened in Kitchener?
No, I
downtown,
mean like
Frederick
I mean
Street?
like when you got started.
Yeah, I
like,
would say funding. I mean, to me, the first job I took was after being okay. So worked at one of the top barbershops in Toronto. Got licensed with went to business school, went to hair school, got certified. Came back to Kitchener-Waterloo now. I walked to the bank at that time, and I think now since an entrepreneur is more of a accepted thing, and they're willing to fund people. There's people with deeper pockets nowadays, but since entrepreneur wasn't such a big thing as that back in the
then,
day, was funding. I actually walked to the bank and I had braids. Well, I have braids now, but I had full braids back then. I cut off my hair and I put on a nice shirt,
Hold up.
tie.
So you wanted to go get funding, and then you
Yes.
had to change your entire persona.
Right, because you have to understand, I'm not saying anything, but I'm somebody of ethnicity, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
21 years old, and I know I'm perceived as something that
Yeah.
I know society right now, and I look at us now as an advantage, but society's looking at me as I can't be coming in there with braids because braids certain had a perception.
Represent,
Of course.
yeah,
I have
yeah.
braids now, 40-year-olds. I really don't care. It's more of a style. I find haircuts now are more liberal than they have ever been. Back in the early 2000s, walking around with braids into something would come off with a certain
Yeah.
perception.
Braids with white singlet.
Right. So the only thing point of that, you have to understand, establish your environment, understand what environment you're stepping into. So cutting my hair was one less challenge I had to deal with. So cutting my hair, which was just fine, especially opening business and having put on a nice shirt, tie, did my pants up, put everything, you know. And I walked in actually, my business plan, I laugh because guys, my business plan of my diverse initially was my last, worked on a whole semester in my business school. So I worked on, my business plan was actually a course that I passed and I actually had it in paper
just
and
took
writing.
that.
And I brought it to the bank. Okay, so I brought it to the bank with my my business plan, my George Brown business certificate diploma, my hair school diploma, and my Red Seal certificate. So I'm fully certified.
Was it Red Seal?
Red Seal is basically once you run your government exam, you're certified to open your own barbershop.
Okay.
You're certified to teach whatever. You can get discount on products and stuff like that. Once it's the highest level you can get as I guess introduction to be open to have your own shop.
Okay.
So having your Red Seal, I walked in with all this documentation. I showed the guy it, and to tell you the truth, it wasn't a big money, man. And they denied it.
How much was it?
To tell you, the truth, 15 G's, yo.
No way.
Wow.
But like,
serious?
Like this is
15
what
G's,
like,
yeah, they denied it. But you know what? No, I don't look at it as negative. I found means of just private investors kind of investing in me anyways back then. But now I think I would have got it because it's a little more open.
Yeah,
Everything's more
you're
going on.
in the business.
But I have a question.
Yeah.
So this when you were going through this story,
Right.
the main thing that hit me is that you were 21.
Yeah.
Oh, how old was he then?
No, he was 21 when he
21.
worked,
Was 21.
when he caught the trade and what
20. It was around 20.
20,
yeah,
20. So you're
Yeah.
20. So I'm wondering
That drive at that time.
that drive. So Kevin, the reason I'm asking that drive is no, you made out the decision by yourself to call your hair this. What kind of friends were you keeping?
I swear, man.
You know what?
Because most people don't have that drive,
Because
right?
A lot of-
I'm looking at this young man.
20-year-olds, like, yeah, we
You know what?
we
To
don't-
tell you the truth, I was such on my grind.
Where were you at
You
20?
know, I'm very thankful. Like my friend circle is pretty small. I have really good,
wow.
close friends. I just try to keep people that are. I actually had to leg off a couple of friends when I was before.
Let go.
That's fine. Yeah.
Sometimes you have
But
to- you have to, right?
To tell you the truth, through college, I had friends here and there. You know, party with whatever. But I had some really close friends to this day. Even I have, really solid friend in terms of it. I was such on my grind in my younger age. I've accomplished so much in my early teen. I didn't really have time to really. At that time to really, I mean, I did go out, but it wasn't like my grind was there, school and all that stuff, So I didn't really have, I'd say my friend circle was pretty tight and they were all supporting me. And they would all tell me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wish the best for me in terms of it. You don't want to be around too much negative people telling you.
Yeah.
I mean, constructive criticism helps sometimes.
That's true.
Sometimes
Yeah,
that.
obviously, yeah.
You can't always tell them you're going to be wonderful, whatever. Just take that criticism in and then reflect on it and then move on along with it.
So-
But 21, by
Yeah.
the 18, I wanted to have the shot. But by the time,
Wow.
once I left Toronto, I knew that I had the skill set to be very successful. Because the guys that I worked with at the time, until this day, these guys are phenomenal barbers. These guys, I get why now they stop cutting hair.
Oh, they stopped?
They stopped, yeah. They
Oh,
stopped.
why?
They're not in the game no more. Because they would have to ask them like personally, but the barber game can take a lot out of you. So you got to know how to balance, right? So I don't know. I don't have to talk to them individually why they decided to stop. But I remember about a year and a half into it, the guy that I was my mentor never gave anybody props. And one time he sat me down and I was under his skin laughing. He said, Kevin's going to be successful one day. And I looked at him, I was like, he's joking. He goes, yeah, Kevin's going to make it one day. And when he said that to me, that made me fly. So much confidence. Because that guy gives nobody props. He gives nobody props in terms, it's like to get respect from that person.
From him,
It's basically
tough,
saying, yo, like you walk.
This guy will go far.
Yeah, and I had all my circle of people. So that's why I don't care what anybody says, especially Kitchener-Waterloo. A lot of guys don't understand. The guys in the city know me. And they grew me to an extent where they said, Kevin, he made it. And from that time, I think as a 20-year-old, that's when my confidence really took off.
Because
I don't really care what you have to say to me because all these 5 men that grew me and are respected. And I've seen people pass up and then talk about the legendary. Say, Kev, yo, he's nice. Just that's what set me apart where I'm like, you know what? Nothing stopped me.
Wow.
They brought me up, but they saw me from nothing. Saw me messing up hairlines or whatever, thought I was nice or whatever. And then they said, yo, he's nice with it. So I think confidence, especially at that, especially being respected around your peers, this is a big thing. That's what
not just your peers, though. Not just your peers. I mean,
peers.
like those even like above you.
Above you, yeah.
As in, like,
Right.
And those that don't just even
So as a
give
20-year-old,
props to anyone.
Yeah.
That was big time. That was huge for me.
Listen.
Where I actually ran the shop for a time in Northwest. And that's actually one of my other friends. I haven't seen him in a while, but he works downtown Toronto. I won a shops downtown, and we were running it together. So I think in terms of that, having that confidence, that's where, and I still walk with that confidence. You got to keep on learning. Always keep on learning new things, and you have to be confident in yourself, and then be able to absorb your weaknesses too, right? Like, I'm not perfect. I try to do. Try to do my best every single time, but it does happen. But when you do make that, let's say, mistake, which we are imperfect people,
Of course.
learn from it. How do I better that experience? How do I go about it? If I were to make a mistake today, then you're good with your haircut. It's bigger than that for me. How do I learn off that? So next time I don't do that. That same thing. Especially barber. Being a good barber is learning all the mistakes you don't do again. Like don't pick up this or don't do that again. And sometimes it's close calls. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't know and sometimes you don't make a mistake. You're like, okay, don't make that mistake again. And then learn off of what works and what doesn't work. And it's always changing. Yeah.
Sorry. So Kevin, I'm wondering, Because the reason I was asking what kind of friends we have, because at 20, I don't think
Bro, at 20, man.
at 20, most of this young man was attending different parties. But let's forget about that. He probably forgot to do like 5 assignments, right?
Say my drive. Okay, so that's one thing why I was so drive at 20.
Yeah.
I had my first kid at 21. Right. So
Okay, that's a wake-up
that
call.
was when I had my first kid at 21. Wouldn't wish this is my life. Everybody has their thing in life, but when I had my first kid at 20, so that was more the jolt because I had to be the provider.
Yeah.
Right. So it was more that you just go out and you're just kind of moving around. But when you start having a child, you realize you have responsibility.
Of course. Everything changes.
So that's where I think that's where my drive with everything came on when I had my first kid at 21.
So when you walked out of that bank
And then,
Yeah.
after the rejection,
was a
when you got home, because that's what I'm trying to get with, when you told your significant other,
Okay.
your
Are
family,
you even sure, baby? Even because
If you-
those kind of things, do you?
man, did you even tell them that you were going there? Or because I want to know,
And did you
were
tell
you the
anyone
only
you
one that knew
rejected?
you were going to the bank?
I don't remember if I told them that I got rejected, but I
Oh,
know I
okay.
know the feeling. Once I did get it, it wasn't to stop me though. It wasn't to stop me though.
So that didn't matter. Like,
It's
you
just,
knew
you know what,
you're
you
still
gotta
gonna,
pivot,
yeah,
like
you're
everything
still gonna
in
find
life.
other ways, yeah.
So
Sometimes
when they
you-
said no, you didn't. There was no. How did
I
you react?
realized that they just didn't see my vision.
That's what they said.
You have to understand,
No,
you're,
that's
you're
what- yeah.
walking into a bank that doesn't even know anything.
Yeah.
You're just a guy coming in with a suit and a bunch of certificates. They don't see the talent. They don't see the stuff behind it. They don't see the work.
I'm just imagining you with a
the
white shirt.
And the tie.
No, it wasn't a white shirt. It was actually a blue little button down or whatever. It was actually pretty nice.
White would have been
good,
better.
yeah,
but it's
man.
okay.
Yeah, why not?
So how did you step up from that? You got rejected.
Yeah.
You were hoping to get 15 Gs. You
Yeah.
did not get the 15
So
Gs.
I found a way special funding to kind of get it going. And I actually have a picture nowadays, I think somewhere in my house where I just started off just paying my rent. And okay, so let me stop here because I'm not going to just say whatever. I did work at another shop in town here before for a couple months. I'm not going to say what it is, but I worked there for a couple months. And I actually walked to the shop and I showed my full documentation that I was licensed. Let's say that first so people don't think that I just opened up. I did work in another shop. But after that, when I did open my shop, I only started with one chair and my one table I still have to this day. The table that my cash out table is the exact same.
Yeah.
If over 20 years I painted and refinished it, but it's the same table that I've had.
You kept the table.
Yeah. But you know what? It's just like anything in life, man. You got to start with something. It's like a snowball. Sometimes it starts a little bit of snow and you have to roll it like becomes a boulder.
Got it, yeah.
But you got to start off with something. It starts a little bit at a time. You can't expect the boulder to get big. Sometimes you got to roll it. Sometimes you got to roll it back. Sometimes you got to roll forward.
So aside
Yeah,
funding,
so you got to start somewhere, right?
aside funding, what other challenge did you face when you first got started? Like, how did you start getting? Because
Okay.
I believe now you moved from Toronto to
Yeah.
all
to
different
So I worked at
Kitchener-Waterloo.
the shop for the first shop for. Well, you know what? When I first came in, I did work at a couple other shops actually. I worked in an Italian hair barber shop, which I learned how they operated, which helped out with a lot of comb over haircuts that I do nowadays. They didn't have the urban turn to it, but I just learned how they learn how to style and do all that fun stuff. You know, I did work at the time, to tell you the truth, even to this day, like sometimes you got to just work that job, that other job, that side hustle. If it's nowadays skip or do 1, 2, it's not always seeing what you did in the front. Sometimes you have to do that little side hustle to make up for whatever. I did work another job for a shift in town. I don't really tell people about that. And there was an intervention where I actually got to the point where I got lost and I said, you know what, I'm going to go in this full throttle, right? But sometimes you need to do other things to maintain, to keep that other thing going.
To make ends
For-
meet. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't, sometimes you got to go all in.
Yeah.
When you find time to go all in, find that time. But sometimes you got to do the stuff that people don't see. If it's skip the dishes or, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that nowadays there's so much stuff, but back in the day it was just a little factory job.
Yeah.
And that's
Even
funny
today
enough,
it's still
I worked-
factory job.
I worked that factory job. I'm not saying anything because I think everybody has a role in life. I'm not saying factory jobs is any demeaning or anything like that.
Never.
No, it's not.
Never.
But I worked at
Never.
that factory job and it was actually a reflection to say, okay, well, I'll do it for a time and season. You know what I'm saying? But it's a process where I'm going through that no one's seeing it other than what I envision. So no one's really gonna understand that other than me. But opening up was a pretty cool thing. Opening up, I would say the first 4 months were pretty tough. But I just knew it was patience and this timing because I just knew the potential was there, right? I think I said in my video that we released that.
Yeah.
And one day I didn't have no one coming in, and that was one day I was like, okay, well, you know what? I remember that day. Nothing can get any worse than that.
No one came into the store.
Yeah, but you know, I had Xbox.
The whole day?
Yeah, the whole day. I had Xbox.
You had the Xbox then,
Yeah,
eh?
Xbox there. Yeah. But sometimes you have, you know what? You just got to, for me, you just got to open your door and just be vulnerable, you know? Like some days are better than most. You got to look at the overall average and the overall complex, the whole overall environment of everything.
Yeah.
You can't just focus on one particular day because it cannot be even just you, just many variables that may affect that. It could not just be you.
Before we move into like
Right.
4 months in, now you've gotten, like when you got to your place, how did that feel?
The first one?
Like, first
Yeah,
off,
Oh.
like when you got your store,
When
know,
you,
I was
when,
very
when you put
thankful.
it, when
I
you
was
put the
very
sign
thankful.
open,
You know what? I was-
opened the door.
Right. So I was very thankful and blessed to get 60 Frederick Street because when I took business, there are certain credentials that make a successful business. My business now, especially now, is calculated. There's a whole equation that people don't see when I walk in. Downtown had the exact same thing. And that was based off of when I was downtown, I've seen a lot of, that was a successful barbershop. And I knew what was successful. Like having, let's say, per se, a storefront that's open and transparent. That closed off, nobody can see. That was one of them. 60 Frederick was very important because I did have, it was right at a corner location where buses stopped. Buses stop every 30 seconds.
so many
yeah,
bosses.
yeah, random fun, yeah.
Every 30 seconds. So you're getting advertising every 30 seconds. Somebody looking in, maybe by looking and like, whoa, there's people in there.
And there's always a street light.
And there's always
right-
street light there.
A street light in front
So
of
it's
it.
always good to be on a corner. You
It
know,
was always stops, yeah. No matter
yeah,
what,
so I mean, generally sometimes, like I've been in New York City and you have third floor barbershops, right? Not saying it's, but for me, I preferably, 60 Frederick was a great location in terms of the volume in the walk by traffic. Just to pool and harvest people in.
Yep.
Right?
There's actually
But I mean,
something
it was-
funny about that. Sorry, Kevin.
Yeah,
When the bus comes,
yeah.
I used to be in the bus sometimes.
Yeah.
If I see there are a lot of people there
Yeah.
that can't wait, I just continue with the bus.
So the bus
And
goes
just
around,
connect-
comes
just,
back.
just
that
keep
bus-
going
just
home.
So,
Just wasn't waiting.
so yeah, so the bus is very important. You know, there's a lot of the shops thinking right now that have around buses. You know, the bus traffic's possible. Even till now, I'm still around buses ish, but I made sure that I'm around 2 bus lines: King Street and Weber Street.
And Weber, yeah.
Which
is what- yeah.
they have been
That's
closed.
smart.
They shut me down the last 2 through 5 years. That-
Listen, trust me, man. King Street, those guys were repairing that road.
yeah.
Oh, for so
that-
long.
But the thing is, so
They
the
take
thing,
their time.
but you know what? The thing is, King Street was closed, but then at Weber's available. So they're
open
not going to
still.
close either or because one of them has
Oh,
to.
you can't
One,
close
yeah.
it down.
Those- yeah, those
And
two
I-
has-
that was very fortunate, especially the location I have now. That both one's either one's done or one. Thankfully now it's been 5 months and nothing's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
nothing's good.
It's gonna start off soon again.
remember
But
last year,
Weber is
last
always
year.
on construction.
Right,
It's
right.
always
So,
something.
so many people want to get into like we're still going to go back, to you, but then many people want to get into entrepreneurship
Right.
and they want to get, they want to do their own thing.
Right.
Now I've heard what you've said regarding having a business certification,
Right.
regarding going to
Yeah.
regarding going to like hair school and
Yeah.
all. Really, how important is education and school to like how important has it been towards the success
Right.
of your business and having that business background? You know,
Right.
like how important
So,
has it
yeah.
been and made you stand out
Right.
from your peers that did not
Right.
necessarily go to
So
school?
I would say not every business needs to go to school.
Okay.
I went to business school because I knew nothing. I was a science person. And I knew nothing about business. It got me into a business mindset, which has saved me a lot of time and resources along the way. A lot of strategic decisions I've now made because I have a business mindset. Sometimes you walk through business and you fall. You're gonna always fall somehow, but I find my way because I have a business in terms of understanding the business concepts. When I was in school, I learned marketing, accounting, economics. So you have a business outlook on a lot of things. So when people throw ideas at me, I filter that with a business mentality. And I talk to some big businessmen, like in my chair, I talk, people that are, bankers and all that stuff. And I totally relate to them. I could run a big business. I mean, in terms of, because the barbershop business is very low cost, low overhead, type of business. It can relate to a lot of businesses, right? So having that education is good. it's not essential depending on what you do. I think the talent that you have in terms of it, but it will save you a lot of, it'll make you think more strategically in terms of budgeting, forecasting.
Nice.
Like I would never say that before. If I didn't go to school, I wouldn't sound as articulate as I am, because I am in terms of I went through, okay, that's the thing. And I'm not saying anybody, like my daughter graduated University of Waterloo. Very thankful for her. She had to go that path to get to her career. I went to a community college, right, at the time, which would look a little different. I could have took a 4-year business degree, but I decided not to because no one would appreciate the 2 extra years I took. You know, so it's what you were taking from the substance of the education that you want. Sometimes it's a prerequisite to do what you want to do, like you're a dentist or a doctor, you have to go.
Yeah. That route. Yeah.
Right. Sometimes you have to go that route to get to where you need to be. So go that route. But sometimes you may not have to take that route. But nowadays, the community college is just as much as the university, I'd say, in terms of resources and engineering and all that stuff.
100%.
It's a lot different than 20 years ago, where it was more.
There was kind of hierarchy.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
university.
So nowadays, I would find like, go for your business. I cut some guys that are, maybe they're at Laurier, right?
Yeah, lawyer.
Laurier's known for a business school. And I cut actually some business professors I cut.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, economics business professors, about 4 or 5 professors I cut from them. I would say 6 from University of Waterloo, some
Yeah.
retired. Actually, one of the top guys, he's retired now. He used to be a professor at Waterloo. And he knows, he's 60 years old, he hangs with me. He's one of the coolest guys. He knows business. He knows exactly. Guys travel the world and the rest of it, you know what I mean? So I cut a lot of professors. I talk to them same way.
Pick their
Even though-
brain.
Yeah, I mean, they may have the intellectual experience, but I can talk to them by practicality of business wise.
Yeah.
And they know that. You know what I mean? Sometimes experience is a big teacher. It's a balance. If you can be articulate and project what you want and talk to them on that level.
Because you're like in
Helps.
school.
Yeah.
But you don't know you're in school. Because
Yeah.
20 years is that's a
Yeah.
school.
Trust me, man.
30
Yeah,
years, sorry.
into a lot.
30 years
That
in
is,
2
that is,
decades.
that is fountain of knowledge
Yes.
Yeah.
on its own.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so having that is not a prerequisite. It depends on what the business you want to go into. You know what I mean? The best
So I
thing
would
is to
just
go to
tell-
school so you can actually articulate what you want to say to people in a proper, organized fashion.
Yeah.
I always tell people to try as much as possible to engage in a lot. I mean, like do a lot of things. Don't just specialize
In one thing.
in one thing.
Yeah.
Work different jobs.
Yeah. So-
do a lot of volunteer.
Right.
Because
So
like,
the thing is, I would say people don't. One thing about jobs, some people are like, oh man, I suck. I work at McDonald's. No. Because I've only had 3 jobs in my life, to tell you the truth. First job I had, I worked at A&W, flipping burgers for a month.
I would have come by for sweet potato fries.
And I was like, I don't want to be flipping burgers. These
Sweet
stuff's
potato
hot.
fries.
But then you learn about the corporate aspect of things. And I worked at the movies through high school, right? And that learned me about in terms of hierarchy and pay and I actually inventory control and a lot of. I was greeting people at the door, so how to greet people in terms of that,
Interpersonal skills.
and then was selling being at concession, upsell somebody if you need to. Like I don't upsell people, but you want to get up there, they would teach you how to upsell properly. So every job, I think, even though you're not at where you think you are, look at each job as a positive because it may where you want to be.
100%.
You could use that job for another aspect of the job you have now.
100%.
Because I know a guy that one time, this guy's been in a million jobs, but every job now, when he's in sales, he knows how to sell to that market because he's been in
Done
that.
through all, yeah.
So it's not even that. I think it's the journey in terms of it. And
The process.
it sucks when you're in it, especially in that job. But if you have projected where you want to go, I think having sometimes a variety of places where you have worked
Yeah.
gives you a lot more understanding and appreciation of somebody in that. And
Yeah,
if you were
yeah,
outside of it, you can actually have that interpersonal skill.
Very
'Cause
important.
the worst thing is people calling me up and don't know me. Like they'll call me a diverse this is diverse hair salon. Do you do perms? Like, no, did you go on Google and research
yeah.
it first? Like you're not gonna get a sale if you don't do your research. Like don't call me if you haven't done your research. That just sounds so you're just making a buck. Like not saying you just know in depth, but at least know what type of
No way
business
to get
I'm in
into. Yeah.
before you get in. I'm not the best salesman in terms of, but I think if you can connect with somebody that you've done a little more than just looking my name up on the yellow pages,
Yeah.
then they can say, wait a minute, you spent the time to actually care about that. I'll actually take that effect.
Yeah. Before the person sells what they want to sell
Right.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I get a lot of telemarketing people tell me about, Kev, you can get more sales or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah,
like really though, like, did you do your research? I'm not a hair salon that does, you know, perms and highlights. Like, even though I register stuff as that, but my niche is not that. So it's understanding that sometimes even about time and place, even do your research. A lot of times people come to me and they try to sell me something on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's the worst time as a barber to sell you something.
Yeah.
That's a
Because,
business time. Yeah.
because
Best
that's
time to
busiest
sell a
time,
barber.
bro.
Yeah.
The best time, most barbers are off Monday, but the best time is Tuesday, Wednesday.
You know
Because
that's-
he's there sitting around, you can think about it, you can aggregate. I mean, usually my time is a little bit less busy where I can actually take you in. Unless it's very, like if it's on a Thursday, Friday and it's essential, then I'll take you in. But I'm like, you haven't done your research to find the time where you can actually talk to me. And I actually really take you in as something, right?
So
That's good.
the reason I actually brought that up is most of the time you're doing like working in all those different jobs, doing all those different things.
Yeah.
You pick a lot of things. And then one thing I remember was, reading through the story of Steve Jobs. And then I remember that it was one art class that he took back in college. I think he actually just attended the class just once.
Yes.
And then he was able to pick that idea and actually use it for. I think that formed the idea for either the mouse, as in like the mouse for the
Yeah. But
for
you
the
have to
mask or
understand,
something. Like
to
because the problem is this: people are in jobs, different jobs, be it McDonald's, be it factory,
Many job, yeah.
and they're just like, oh my god, I
hate
don't
it,
want to
yeah.
be here. Like I just hate. Like it sucks. Of course, it sucks.
Yeah.
But
if
then
you're going somewhere, yeah.
the problem is that you're comparing yourself with people
Who are
that
already-
some of them have most likely gone through that part and then they are at a better place. Some really are no better than you, but then you think, oh, just because you are at this place, you suck.
Yeah.
Some are not just, anywhere to be found. So like for me, yeah, wherever it is I find myself, whatever job it is I'm doing, like I tell people, I've done cleaning, I've done factory,
Yeah.
I've done XYZ. You pick and you learn something from it. Okay, so what can I
Take the
get? What can I...
Yeah, take the
Just
positive.
like there would always be. See, my greatest problem with anyone who has worked in McDonald's and then they tell me, "Oh my God, it sucks." Is I look at them. Of course, I know that in the moment it sucks. It seems as if it sucks, but then McDonald's in fact, that is one of the biggest franchise.
But you have to
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
McDonald's is a very smart company.
You can learn a lot
much.
from working in McDonald's,
Flipping
bro.
burger.
Yeah.
No, it's not just about flipping burger. No, of course. That
If
is
you're going
what
with that
you see.
mindset, then yeah.
That is what
That's
you
what
see.
you're-
That's
yeah.
the mindset.
For the deep fry, for the deep
if you
fry,
have-
for the deep fries.
No. If you just have the mindset of flipping
get what you
burgers,
mean, yeah.
Then
that
that's
is-
what's all you're gonna
Trust
know.
me, that's what's going to be in your head.
But
if you're learning about things such as like hierarchy, such as like as like, and then you get to learn things like being punctual
We have to
and all those
understand,
things. It builds your
McDonald's is
suppressor.
not is making $1 billion for a reason. Their output is just burgers and fries and all the rest of it. But their organization, their planning, the way they market, the way they is
Move the
very,
mic.
there's a formula to it.
Kevin.
You
They
may-
might, yeah.
yeah, you may not see it,
Okay.
but every successful business has a formula. And their business formula has a certain hierarchy, a certain way. There's a guy that has to do certain things. And there's, you know what I mean? There's just not just whacked out of nowhere. They're successful for generations and decades for a
For a
reason,
reason, yeah.
right? So, looking
But
at
yeah,
McDonald's, I think
yeah, you're right.
you're looking at those jobs in terms of it as low-paying jobs. Yeah, but everybody has a role. Everybody, especially in an organization, a proper organization is everybody knows their role. When some people step outside the role, sometimes you need to, better yourself and maybe get to a position where you feel you want to be too.
Yep.
But everything has a certain role. There's a guy that has to sweep the floor. There's a guy that has
Of
to.
course,
100%,
of course.
100%.
Somebody has to do something. Yeah, of course. Of course. So what does a typical barbershop look like? What should a typical barbershop look like?
I think nowadays there's so much variance of that same question. You have barbershops that have two people, and there's 10 chairs empty. Then you have, you have barbershops that have all the guys working at the same time, right? I really think it really depends on the owner, right? I'm a type of person, I don't like wasting time and space. My biggest thing in terms of being a barber, I want everybody to feel appreciated. That's where you have to start with the person feeling like they're worth something and they're contributing to the bigger pie. I may be an owner, but I have a couple people that work with me. I may be the owner, but they contribute to the whole establishment. So once you start with the core of somebody in terms of making them feel like they're wanted and feel like they're actually contributing,
Yeah.
that's where I think success will come to, especially the barbershop business. And I've seen a lot of times where the owner has set himself apart from everybody,
Just wants to be
and then
important.
everybody
That,
else
that
just-
ownership
Yeah, he
mentality.
just wants to be a
Yeah.
boss, doesn't it?
But I
Hierarchy.
think it really depends on the owner itself, and then the dimension of how you actually, want your business to run. So I think that there is an individual issue there in terms of how does a normal barbershop look like.
So the reason I asked that, sorry to cut,
Yes,
the reason I asked that is typically in Nigeria,
Right.
the barber shops,
Yes.
when you go in, you
Yes.
see, trust me, the first thing you see are posters of
Yes.
footballers.
Right.
Enhance,
Soccer players.
enhance.
Right.
He just go point, okay, I want this, I want
Trust
that.
me, listen, man.
Right.
I tell these guys when I come in,
Enhance.
I want to look like this guy.
Yes.
Make me
Give
look
me
like
his
him.
haircut, bro.
One thing that I have to say
Oh,
about
God.
Nigeria, it's predominantly black, all 90%.
100%.
Black men.
100%.
So what I'm saying, Canada is different, right? That's why you won't ever, I've never, and this is psychological, you will never see a picture of a person, a certain culture on my wall.
Oh yeah, that's actually true.
Because that's psychologically setting conditioning of this is what this barbershop does. Right? I've learned that from other places. A lot of barbershops will have certain posters of just Chinese guys, or white guys. or-
Yeah, and you just pick, and then
Yeah,
they
I
can
want this
deliver.
haircut. I want that. And there's times where I used to have a book of that. But nowadays with the phone, it's changed things. Now I just say bring your
You
own
just look
picture.
it up, yeah.
But my barbershop in particular won't ever have a certain haircut on the wall, because now you're putting me in a box and telling me that's all I can do. Right? In Nigeria, I get it. I totally get it, because there's 100% of black men there.
Yeah.
And that's what they relate to. This environment, have to adapt. Canada's a total different environment.
Multicultural.
Very multicultural. So you see a black guy in there and it's like, where's the white guy? Where's the Asian guy? You know what I mean? So in Nigeria, you say you want to look like this football player, this football
Of
player,
course.
which I can get it, because people want to attain to be to have those type of haircuts, right? That's what I'm saying. Just understanding your environment, right?
True.
Yeah.
So but going to that, what you just said, Kevin,
Right.
one of the most surprising things sometimes when I walk into the shop is sometimes I see women waiting, and I'm wondering, some of them, they come with their kids, and I always think maybe they're just going to cut their kids' hair. All of a sudden, Kevin's like, oh, you next? I'm like, okay, Kevin, you cut it women too?
No, you know what? Don't put me in a box.
That's
Don't
what I'm
put me in
saying.
any box.
That's why I
cut
brought that up.
everybody.
You do it all, yeah.
The thing is, for me, as long as you know me in terms of, I will cut your hair, I won't wash your hair, I won't blow dry your hair.
You used to wash my hair before, but you stopped here. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
all good.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I know why he stopped watching. I know why the dandruff in that hair. The dandruff in that hair is too much.
Kevin used to wash your hair, then when I get home, I'm like, there's no point showering.
Oh, no, Kanye, why you wash your hair in the first place?
No. It was a service they
So we're
provided
doing-
at
So we're
first.
doing Jerry Coil or what?
No, I was doing what they call it. What they call it?
Saucy waves.
Saucy wave, you know.
But yeah, I do everybody. Like, I will do anybody that
that's
has
funny.
hair. Will cut anything in terms of it, right? Just don't put me in a box. And I do, like, I get let's say 40-year-old white women that want certain haircuts on the back or certain hairstyles. It's hair, right? So you have to understand what that client wants, which is very subjective. And if they're sitting in a chair, especially as that, it's something specific. It's diverse. First is a texture thing. You have black men with straight hair. You have curly, especially nowadays. I get a lot of some Caucasian boys around late teens with curly hair. They have perms. They have curly hair. They want to have somebody that does it properly, right? So diverse name has a lot deeper than that. And the context is just it's for diverse styles and diverse different types of hair.
Yeah,
Which is
because
stated in my logo. Sometimes it gets miscued because maybe they're black men that come here because that's where black men know to get their proper haircut.
Yeah.
But I mean, I cater to a vast amounts of cultures and vast types of races too, right? And vast parts of demographics too. My oldest guy that comes he's 93 years old. He looks 75.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
And
do you
then your youngest kid? I'll cut a kid as long as he can sit still, right?
Hold on.
He's
Cut
93.
anybody.
He's 93?
93, still walks in. He was driving up until 3 years ago. But they took his license because of vision, right? So
Yeah, because all the
yeah, but you know what? His conversation, I really like him because I catch a lot of knowledge from him. Perspective on life, you know what I mean? In terms of, I have some deep conversations with him because he's seen through. He's been here, Kitchener, since the first LRT, way back in the day. When Kitchener had pure, he's one of the first black families in all Kitchener-Waterloo. There's a lot of them in Kitchener here, man.
Damn.
There's a lot of people that have been here since the late 50s and 60s, man.
Damn.
But you see, Kevin, that's exactly kind of what makes your barbershop unique. Because I see barbershop as it's not just a place to go get a haircut.
Yeah.
It's a place to have that deep conversation.
That's why I have people.
yeah.
That's why I have a problem with people that come there and are on their phones.
I ask Kevin when I get to his shop, if they have a lot of
always,
people,
yeah.
I come with two things.
Your book?
Now, okay, so I can read outside.
No, but you don't understand why.
Yeah.
The thing is, sometimes a few of the conversations people might be having,
Well, I've seen people pull you aside and say, what's that book about?
yeah, they always do that.
Yeah.
Because they're shocked, because they may be having a conversation that don't relate to.
But barbershops,
Yeah,
I think it's a great
yeah.
place is to say, some people are maybe now it's worse because they're working remotely. Maybe it's their time for some engagement or another opinion,
With
right?
other people, yeah.
Exactly.
It's been limited a little more because I have my appointments in terms of it and packing the whole shop. It doesn't really happen as much anymore. But just engagement. We all need that engagement. We all jump on our computers and stuff like that, but having that engagement,
yeah.
even that one-on-one, me being here and all the rest of it, it's a big thing. You can go on a Zoom chat, whatever. Anybody working at home right now, I think just go home, go for a walk, enjoy nature.
So have you ever had a challenging customer come in?
Oh, all the time.
Complain.
That's what I'm saying. The game is not. This game has levels, man. Just hair cutting, but then the psychological. People that may feel that you're not qualified. They don't know you at all. They feel you're not qualified, and you have to earn their respect.
If they feel, hold on. If you
they
feel I'm
come
not
into my-
qualified,
yeah.
then why come to my store
But
first?
but some people they feel like you have to earn for them to cut their hair properly.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'm not even okay. So that's the thing, though. Psychologically, they're coming with a complex, right? So how do they come to that complex? They must have had a bad experience with somebody else.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I don't judge them straight up. I just take them for what they are. I show them what I can do. And that's not enough, then you need to go somewhere else. Right? So sometimes it's taking them in because maybe somebody's really wanting something. They just haven't got
And they
what
can't
they
get
really
it,
wanted.
yeah.
And their way of translating is frustration. Oh, this guy did this and this guy did that. This did that. Fine. Okay, I hear you out what not to do. But what do you want me to do? And I actually don't mind some people that are very particular. And so I know and I can know their boundaries. But yeah, it's the biggest thing I would say is the psychological. Even at times, sometimes you have to embrace some people because you never know what they're going through in life too, right? They could have had some bad news coming in or a bad day or maybe just got fired from their job. And you know what I mean? Or
They
just,
can put that on.
yeah, you can't, sometimes I can feel the weight of someone's energy, especially at that. So my stuff is more listening to them and understanding what their need is in terms of that, right? Every day there's always people that, even with, I think nowadays it's easier because my spot's more regulated, but in a pack of people that have so many different opinions and so many different personalities. Sometimes you don't want two people to be in the shop at the same time because they know they clash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can go down.
So you try to work it out so you don't get conflict in terms of stuff, right?
Have you had that before?
I've had conflict. I've had some people conflict, and even go waters. Even setting the tone of an environment so that doesn't even start itself. If I know one guy here likes Messi and this guy likes Ronaldo, and they're very passionate and they like fighting, I might not start that conversation.
It's not going forever. Anything can
It
happen,
doesn't
right?
end, bro. It never
But sometimes,
ends.
you know what? That's why sometimes, even at that, let's spin it now. You might have some people that I see you relate this and you relate that, but you guys can work on it together. I think my job is great so I can bind people.
The mediator.
Yeah, be the mediator to not just for argument, but for success. You know, some people that may need something and you may have a need that so do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? Oh, wow, cool. Let me exchange numbers. Let's connect. Let's connect through me. I'm like, this is great.
But that's the one thing that your shop does really well. Because when I come in at that table, they have a bunch of business cards there.
Right. So that's why
Like from real estate
yes,
to
and that's one thing I
everybody's
always
business
value.
card is there.
I value people that support my shop heavily, and a kickback. I don't mind if a guy sells a house off me, 2 houses or something. Basically, I want to be that secure guy to say, you know what, it came through me. He's legit. You got a house or you got something off of him because of me through that. I'm one of the few places that have that kind of synergy where I can, not saying sell a guy or have a one in for one person to help someone out to get something else.
Yeah.
There's not too many places you can go where you just see a
Where you
business
see
card.
that. No.
And I can sell it. Oh, who's this guy? Okay, yeah, he's dealt me right. Deal with him properly. Or and the guy gives him one too. You have to build a relation with me first, right?
I get what I mean.
Some
Not
people
everyone
have their
just drops
business
in that
card,
card.
leave it with me and I don't see you for another 2 years or whatever.
No.
Like that's not unless I know you through whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's
But if
different,
you're a well person that's supporting the shop or give me a name or give me like send people to me all the time, then I don't have no problem to leave you the business card there. Why not? We're all kind of interconnected, right?
Yeah.
I was watching one of my top guys, a guy named Kenny Duncan, he's one of the top barbers in the States. He works for Andis Clippers, and I always listen to him because he seems like me and him will really par. He's the type of guy that's really, he connects a lot of people, and he's well connected. And he said something about a rubber band, and you have to let go of some people, and he's just, it's how I think it's a networking thing, right? And the barbershop is one of the unique environments where you
100%,
connect
man.
Yeah.
and still have let's say a word of mouth perspective on many things to connect with. Yeah.
I was wondering. I have so many questions. So how do your family see? How do they treat the barber shop? Have they come and see you at your work
Yes.
to see how you do the work?
My family not recently.
No, it's
'Cause
okay.
Sometimes I like segmenting both trends of it, right?
Yeah.
This game you gotta watch it, right? Because people know you and one of your family too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't bring the word.
Yeah.
So it's one of those type of things where you gotta keep everything
Separate.
Private, yeah.
Yeah.
separate that way too, right?
That's very important.
Yeah.
So we're just
I'm a-
coming.
yeah.
No, go ahead.
You were saying?
Go
You were
ahead.
saying?
So we're just coming out of the pandemic,
Yes.
and then trust me, it wrecked businesses. In fact, so many businesses closed down and all. In fact, businesses that were passed down from generations, bro.
Yeah.
Like trust me,
It was
so many
sad.
Let it shut down.
trust
Yeah.
me, man.
So
How were you able to
So,
go through that?
I'm very
and-
thankful
Yeah.
that I think I was conditioned when that happened. I already went through stuff for about 8 years prior to happening. So I was already
8 years
like
or
a boxer.
year?
I was already in the corner already with my knuckles up before that happened.
Hmm.
I wasn't throwing punches.
We're just waiting.
Yeah, you're just gonna.
No, I was already knuckles. So first thing 7 years ago was the courthouse, the 60
They
front.
cut us. Yeah. Wow.
That took away 25% of my parking, right?
Ooh, yeah.
And then the LRT, that was another
Maybe 50?
50%.
Yeah.
So I'm left with 10% of parking downtown in the corner. Pivot in that, because when they did the LRT, they literally dug the whole street. That street that I was
Yeah, I
on
remember
was
that.
closed for 6 months. No cars could go down it. They couldn't walk through. People were walking 3-4 blocks to get to the shop. But thank you, it was downtown. People would walk. So I was already in the corner taking shots. My stuff was learning, okay, my business is resilient through all this stuff. There's people falling and I'm still resilient. To understand and come in and figure out 3 years, thankfully I got knocked off 3 years before I moved that they were going to tear down the whole building, build condos. It got me ready and prepared. So I was already in the corner for 3 years again. They gave me 6 months. So I was already in the corner again. The biggest transition, I think for me, would have been detrimental if I moved 60 Frederick in that 3 year transition. Sorry, moving from 60 Frederick to 8 Jackson where I am now. I had 3 years. If that happened in 3 years, I don't think it would have been extremely tough for me because there was no foundation. In that move between 2017, in that 6 months, I had to put blindfolders on you, everybody, spin everybody around and tell you that I moved 10 minutes outside of town. And to this day, people are still finding me because the name was there, right? So back in the corner again, prior to 2020, I was already in the corner because I just came out of just taking shots to the chest. So when 2020 hit, I already had a contingency already. And I think that's what's important for a lot of businesses that failed through that time didn't have a support contingency, a backup plan. They were probably just going maybe just day to day or whatever, which is hard for business to do. But I was already back in the corner for 3 months prior, like 3 years prior to that. So when I hit, I had to throw everything off the boat and just survive, right? Because they weren't giving you anything. Really, right? They were giving you $2,000. A guy from McDonald's was getting the exact same money.
Yeah.
And I had to pay
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
house,
literally the same.
house and a business same time with $2,000 for a couple months,
Wow.
and then until I got back to work in June 2020. And thankfully it worked into that, and that was a big adjustment. And then they shut me down again. By then
Bruh.
they gave you
Yeah, the
another.
second
They
one,
gave
yeah.
in entrepreneurial loans. A lot of people, I don't know. Everybody's different in the way they took that type of money, right? For me, it was just paying off what I owed. So the grants and loans were just paying back what I owed prior to the 7 months that sat down, and I had no opportunity to provide. So it was quite the reset. In that time, I knew, doing my research, that I was going to switch to a hybrid system, which is appointments and walk-ins, which is good now because I can schedule my day out. I can block time off.
Yep.
Instead of having
People just
walking in.
totally 100%. No, well, I had to.
Or
switch
having
it.
your day on
I
plan.
had to switch it up because the spacing, right? Remember when we first shut down, they only had 5 people in the shop, and I did have people coming through inspecting me.
okay. The COVID.
Right. So we had people inspecting me. So I had to follow protocol same way. Still change my business, still make money, which is I had to throw you another thing. So for me, I still kind of have a bit of it because I like the organization of it, but it's a science, it's a rhythm that is calculated. Everything comes in time. Like now when you come to my shop, I know. I throw you, do you have an appointment? Or you walking in like Cali Joe?
He doesn't call it.
Right?
You don't make an appointment, you just
No.
Just show up.
So now if you
I'm used to the
are-
old school.
So yeah, I still take walk-ins. People don't understand. I still take walk-ins.
Walking.
I always leave a room for walk-in because sometimes life is flexible. Some people, one client I didn't have before was the proactive client. Somebody likes booking. I booked 2 weeks out. You can book me 2 weeks out if you choose. Before I didn't have that proactive client. So I'm taking that shut down and all the lockdowns in terms of I never had a booking service before.
But now you have it.
Yes, and it's legitimate. I wanted for most barbers to work it out for me till it became nice so I can jump on
You
it.
can jump on it.
I don't want to be the test subject to this stuff. I don't want to be working it out. Wow, it's the algorithms are not working out. I want to get it when it's nice because my system cannot falter because that's somebody telling me that, oh man, I never got a text or something like that. All my appointments are done online and it's full communication to the network. You have vulnerabilities. You just gotta. That's the thing. When I switched to my appointment system, there are vulnerabilities. So I try to look at my calculated risk. What are my deficiencies? What are my risks? What's the downside to this? Router's shutting down. Router's going down. Bam! What is going to happen? Oh, internet down. Oh no! What do I do?
For a whole day.
Hotspot my phone. Go to my hotspot.
Yeah,
Hotspot the phone. Run my booking system same way. Pivot. Think. You gotta think. What happens? I'm always thinking about. I don't know. I always have that third. Let's say the third eye, but I always have that other way of what happens. You can't
Yes.
forecast everything,
Yeah.
but try to forecast any type of risks so you don't falter. Right.
That's key.
For example, my area somehow power goes down a lot. May 2-4 weekend, power went down. Remember that wind tornado?
Yeah,
went through?
Yeah.
2 weeks before, I actually bought a backup power supply because power always goes down because I live in lower trees and I had to back it up. So you shut me down with power, I'm still going. So thinking
ready
ahead,
to go, yeah.
using that money, not just going and buying drinks at the bar, popping bottles. No, I mean, you pop the bottles if you want to choose to do that. But think about that next time, just in case. Use that time and that resource and that money may save you money in the long run. So go invest in things that may help you out in the long run. Long term.
It's good you said this because you guys have not heard this story. This will blow your mind. So Kevin, we're walking out at the gym. He had this BlackBerry phone. And-
Hey, BlackBerry, still here.
And he,
Waterloo.
he's always supporting
Waterloo.
BlackBerry.
Actually, no.
yeah. So
Hey,
that-
it's an Android.
it's an Android.
keyboard.
Yeah, with the keyboard. So the similar phone. While Kevin was working out, you have to avoid this. Never leave your phone in your pocket because when you're doing incline bench, once you go on the incline, it's going to drop. So he dropped, and Kevin dropped his own weight on the phone.
Oh no, because it's so busy. I kind of dropped it aside. That's
Hey,
why.
dropped it aside.
Okay.
So he dropped it.
Yeah.
But guess what Kevin told me when he got up? Oh, I just got on that one yesterday.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
I bought
So
another
I
one.
asked myself,
crazy
how
is
did
that?
he know that he
This
was
is
going to
gonna
damage
happen,
his
yeah.
phone?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Just think one step ahead. I have another one.
That's what he just said. I have
bought
another
another
one.
one on
Just in
top
case
of
something
this
happens, you're
Yeah.
To
ready.
tell you the truth, I don't know why people hate on me that it was his phone. Oh, it's a BlackBerry. But you have to understand this BlackBerry, even though the software, it's just an Android. It's just an Android phone.
Do you know that phone was almost bent?
It was
Of
bad.
course, like
It
when
was-
you drop
hey,
weight on your phone.
And I'll
Yeah.
tell you right now,
expect-
when I dropped on it, the music was still going.
Yeah, the music was the whole thing for I forgot about that. The music was still going. Kevin's like,
40-pounder.
I can still hear the music. That's okay.
Yeah, for about 45 minutes, the thing was still going. It started calling people when I got home and all that stuff. But
Oh, 'cause of the,
still, yeah. Like,
So
I
for
mean,
someone-
That was the
I like
problem.
this phone. So one thing too, I tell people this is one tip of business too.
Mm.
Like I have an Android phone. I don't know Android, Apple. I'm either or because I have Apple for work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not either or. I have Android phone for my own personal. This is my personal phone.
Mm.
People actually have Android, but I like my Android phone because I get a reset from work. When I'm at work, I'm on an Apple device.
Oh, okay.
Psychologically, it's a good reset.
Okay, that's not
Right.
bad. The question is,
Just about-
did you buy another BlackBerry
He
case?
said he has another one.
I did.
said
I bought
right
another
now.
one.
Oh, you don't know what it is?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Why should I go buy a third? No, you know, my kids have all iPhones. And why should I get an iPhone when I have an iPad?
Ooh,
I have
okay.
all the devices on the iPad. I get it. Don't get me wrong. In terms of business, if you have an iPhone, what is it, 14 now or what?
Yeah, I think the
14,
Yeah,
the
I
latest
have
one's
enough
14,
people
yeah.
that work at Apple. I could get an iPhone if I want to right now. If I have a business, maybe a photographer or doing something like that, cater to
Done.
whatever your niche is. Sometimes you need an Apple device because it maximizes.
That's
you.
true. Yeah. That's the reason I
I'm not
switched.
in a job right now. For
need
example,
that.
I don't take appointments on this thing. I have a total different device that does it. It resets my mind, so I'm not on this thing all the time. This is my personal life and the rest of it. I mean, I do have some business on there. I can pivot to have it,
Yeah.
but I have a separate device because I like having that reset.
I'm not
Some
sure-
people are
yeah.
in their device so much time where their job is their whole life. They haven't reset themselves with their devices.
That's me.
That's you?
Me too.
So you need to
Yeah,
get a
it's
two
on
different
phone, yeah,
devices. So you have one you can say
So-
whatever
so-
'cause you always feel you're working.
All you're telling me to do now is I get a BlackBerry,
More
then I
big.
get another BlackBerry.
Get it
So I
in.
have 3 phones.
No, but you know what? Android, BlackBerry, depending on, I don't know how we're getting this conversation, but
It's a different conversation.
Yeah, it's a total depends on your lifestyle.
So-
Because I like Android for what it is, but I like an Apple for what it is.
For
Like I like an
someone
iMac.
For
For,
someone who
Yes.
for someone who wants to get into barbing,
yes.
how do you advise to go about it?
I would have to say the best thing to do. And nowadays, there's many barbers nowadays that will go on YouTube and learn. And I get it. Maximize who you want to maximize. There's a ton of guys. I've had my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel which I've done a couple of videos or whatever. And then I realized I'm just way too busy. Not say way too busy. Just my time. I did it as an idea because I was doing my teach stuff when I went to salons and stuff like that. And then I might dibble dabble in it too later, but I'm gonna come more calculated. But the best thing for you to do if you want to become a barber, go to school first. Get your papers properly. Get everything done.
So you mean like they should get like the
Go
barbing
through the government
certification,
certification, even though it's whack.
business?
Just get your stuff through. Get everybody off your back so nobody can come back to say anything to you.
Yeah.
It's not a prerequisite, but I would say just work on yourself first. Work on home first. Work on yourself first, and then go through the program. And then if that is the barbering thing is kind of different that way because once you do get that, find a place that you feel suitable. A lot of barbers tend to do their own thing because it's a very competitive industry, right? It's nowadays I would say we have a different niche because a lot of guys are cutting inside their houses and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of it, yeah.
There's a lot of underground spots. So
Yeah.
you're always going to have the underground market. You're always going to have that.
I know,
So
like,
that means, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna say like I know like a lot of guys that are like good barbers and they cut like really well, and they don't want to go to school for like 2 years just to,
Right.
just because
So
like
that's-
I
that's
don't really know
where I
anything.
come
Why
in.
would I
That's where I come in. Like, I can go in public and say what I do. A lot of those guys can't.
no. Yeah, because there's no papers. They
Okay,
got
so
nothing.
because of
Not
his,
saying they're not good barbers. They're there's a ton of good barbers that don't have papers or maybe cut hair in their basement.
Yeah,
If you want to become like me, then you have to
open
step
up in a
up.
shop. You need all.
And
Yeah,
you have to sit down. I didn't make money for a full year.
Full year?
Full year, yeah. I spent 1,500 hours in school
yeah.
and spent at the time back in the 90s 12 grand out of my own pocket to cut hair. I spent out of my own money to get that, right? And stop cutting hair for
Wow.
Well, I was working part-time on the weekends.
But still,
Stop your
yeah.
life. That's what a lot of barbers don't want to do.
Yeah,
Is stop, work on
Go
one
back,
thing. Because
yeah.
you have to understand, not getting, because some people have a responsibility of kids and all that stuff. Right?
yeah, that's true.
So
So
they can't
it's
take care of
hard
it,
to
yeah.
balance both.
To balance.
And I think it depends on the individual, right? So for me, my journey, I was very fortunate. I got it very young, and I just started having kids.
yeah.
I got everything done early, but it's hard when you start making the money.
And now
And
you
you're
see
like,
money
oh
coming
man,
in. You
and I
don't
have my
wanna.
clientele, and you tell your clientele, peace out for a year.
I gotta go learn.
I
I gotta
gotta
go to school.
I
Go
gotta
to
go
school.
I gotta
I'm
learn
going to
stuff.
answer you, bro.
I gotta learn stuff that's not even related to what I'm doing.
Yeah,
So that means
So if you want to go to school, then if you want to take your stuff next level, you want to travel, you want to be that guy that's traveling the States or doing stuff in the industry. You want to be a trailblazer, not just something just does it on the low as a side hustle.
Yeah.
Because this great job is great as a side hustle, but as a career that I have it as
100%.
yeah. So that means
that's where you go
Kevin.
to school. That's the difference.
So sorry, T. That means Kevin.
Right.
Are we going to see something like a diverse school?
A diverse school, you know what, to tell you the truth?
A diverse barbing.
You know what?
Yeah, diverse barbing. Yeah.
To be realistic, this part of the world's not ready for a school bricks and mortar. I would be more of a theoretical. It's not even that. I would say my push would be more changing a generation. Like, so there's a curriculum that could be involved. So a 17-year-old guy that wants to cut hair, just like becoming a doctor, there's a book there to understand, to do lineups and fades and all that stuff.
Okay.
So changing the curriculum. Because having a school needs people and need bricks and mortar. I've seen people who've done that stuff. It's a lot of work. And the man here, especially this area, is not as vast. Not even Canada. Even Toronto is not even vast. There are schools in Toronto that people have learned fade. There's a couple in Brampton now in Toronto. And I don't know how they're doing, but I would say it's more of a virtual curriculum thing than actually having a school. I don't think Canada's population, in the States, it would be. That was the first thing I'd do, probably go to the States and then see how they do it down there.
So like you having your own Kevin's curriculum.
The curriculum, yeah. But you know what?
That's not a bad idea.
Not saying it's a curriculum, but even just influencing. Not having me as a...
Maybe even contributing, not necessarily like.
Yeah,
Okay, I see what you
even
mean.
with
Okay.
other professionals, I would say, sitting down and let's have an organization, a conversation in terms of it. And I'm not saying because guys have tried it, but there's always been type of a stumbling block. I'm not there yet because I need to do that's the thing. If I want to jump into that, I need to do my research, right? Why am I the first one to try this? No. Why would we try? What was the stumbling block for those people that didn't get ahead?
And how can you pass?
Right. So
How can
that's
you
what I'm saying.
bypass
That's how you
that?
make it successful. It's not a first one to do it, first one to jump through it. You could be the first one to kind of through, but it's how do you get past that barrier that everybody was stopped at? You know, I think I have the for me it's the time now. It's just finding that time to get past the proper connection and build that connections where how can we make this happen? Because there's money. Trust me, there's people with money, resource to get it done. But to go into school, how do we implement this within the school program? Just even a generation having in any other school. The curriculum nowadays is so out of date. It's so behind. It's disheartening to an extent, right? Like to have, even to implement it within some hair schools itself, generalization. To know what a lineup is, you would never have that in a school curriculum. We're not being represented that way, right? So I think it starts probably federally. I think federally from like a Canada perspective, and then maybe provincially, or maybe provincially in terms of having all the people and the minds and the wisdom. I think, to me, I haven't really done the research. I know in the States are a lot more progressive. It's maybe understanding how a hair school runs in the States and then seeing how everything implemented. But it's kind of, I think the hairstyling industry is misrepresented. I think me as a barber, I'm actually a barber, but a hairstylist too. But if you look under my curriculum, I'm actually looked as a hairstylist. There's no barbering trade because there's no, what do you call it there? What's a committee? What's that? Like a union.
Union.
Oh, okay.
Right. So because there's been so much disconnect within the barber community already, because everybody's kind of about on their own page. I know one guy in Hamilton. He tried it up, but and I think he's probably hit some stumbling blocks, and I just don't know. I haven't sat down to tell him to see why he wasn't successful. And I've seen other guys try, and it seems like they hit a stumbling block. I don't know what it is. For me, I don't need to waste my time to get to that stumbling block. Waste my time.
I have so many questions. See, pardon me.
Oh, God, you ask my question. Ask your question. Ask your questions.
If you guys don't know, Kevin have caught some celebrities.
I was going to ask him. I was actually going to ask him, like.
I want to mention their name.
The first big person.
I want to mention their name. The guy, one of the biggest basketballers. His name is Jamal Murray.
Okay.
Are you serious?
Jamal Murray,
yeah.
over $50 million a year. He played for the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, him and Nuggets. Yeah, he's
So
from here actually.
Jay,
I've seen him in the store.
yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
So Jay-
so he probably knows.
So Jay did co-op. Jay's dad, everybody knows who's Jay's dad in terms of it. Jay's been coming since he was a kid. And you know what? Jay's, I'm very proud of him. He was never one of a kid to be arrogant. He just about his business. And back in the day, 60 Freddy, he used to wait with everybody else.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, he started where he wasn't, nobody knew. He just sat, you could sat us at the barbershop and it was nothing. And by the time he turned mid-teens, his dad was like, you know what, can you get him to do co-op? I think he did one co-op course. He did one co-op, great.
Oh, he did copy.
Yeah.
Your store.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, to this day, Jay's Jay, man. Like, he's a hardworking guy. And I'm very proud of him. He's a successful man.
It's beyond hard working.
But I mean, it starts from the barbershop, man. It starts from that. It starts from the ground up, man. People don't see the stuff they grind. Those guys are getting where they are, man.
He's talked about every day. He's not. He's one of the top this season, maybe probably top 10.
Yeah.
In the NBA, one of the biggest
But
players.
Jay loves basketball, though. He loves basketball.
He does.
So I'm not surprised where he's at because his mind's different like that, right? His dad used to come in all excited and tell him, "Oh, look what Jay did and all that stuff," and I see it. I mean, they put in work, and then it got to a point where they got to Kentucky and all that fun stuff. You know what I mean? But I mean, everybody's a person, right? I think
That's true.
I mean, Messi could come in the shop.
No, man, we wouldn't be like Messi come to the shop. We have to shut on the shop. If Messi show up,
not saying anything. I know, don't start me because I mean, Messi was that one you coming in one time with the long hair back in the day.
That's true.
I started watching soccer. That's how I started watching soccer back in 2002. I never started watching soccer prior to 2002. I knew Pele and
is even a long time.
But everybody used to come in. I got on put on soccer because people wanted me to put on soccer.
I always wanted to do that. Yeah,
so that was the first one I seen. I seen Ronaldo with the original Ronaldo.
With the hair.
And I was like, yo, why don't you fade that joint, yo? Why doesn't the man fade the joint? The man has the one piece of thing with the buck teeth.
That guy, oh my God.
What's the thing? Why don't you fade that? You mean back in the day? So I've been watching every World Cup. And World Cup I hold dear to my heart because I've watched World Cup since the beginning too. My first year was when LeBron was in high school too, right? So you see a lot of that stuff, right?
But I like that you said they're all people.
Sorry?
Which is
Of course.
Yeah, take them as like, oh,
they're all
this is
people.
I look at a lot of those guys with nice haircuts. A lot of them don't have good haircuts, man. A lot like Messi now and Ronaldo now have good haircuts, but prior to that, they didn't have good haircuts.
Like back then.
See, back in the day, Ronaldo had that big Zorro thing in his head. Like, what are you doing, doggy? You make $1 million, a couple $1 million, you can't do it. So not even that. There's, what to tell you? That's a whole different talk. We're going on something. I would actually have a talk thing about just talking about haircuts, man.
I think we're going to a place
we'll stop with that. We'll move on to the next question. But you know what? One of the top guys that had haircuts back in the day was nice. Talking soccer, right? Hazard.
Oh, Eddie Hazard.
Yeah, the guy's nice.
Hazard?
Oh. You can tell that guy's on his steez, man.
Okay, I know he's Baba.
You know his barber? Okay.
No, but another
Diverse
footballer that does I believe Pogba is also big on his.
Pogba is too much.
Pogba is
He does a lot of styles, like different styles, different colors.
He's eccentric. He's that next high fashion thing.
Yeah, he's always like he's always doing something with the style. It's crazy.
You see, I've
so many. So Kevin,
sure.
I know I've told you this many times, but you have your own ideology around it. Will you open a shop somewhere in Africa? Somewhere in Nigeria? Diverse barber shop.
What?
Franchise.
Boy. Wait, you going to be an investor?
Oh!
I don't know why.
You know what?
You'd have to invest. You'd have to invest.
Nigeria would be
throw in
dope,
a couple
man.
of money there.
Nigeria, dope. Like, you know what? One thing that I would have to say, especially born in Canada and raised in Canada, my education in terms of knowing about Africa is grown so much and understanding by conversation. Because here in Canada, you kind of come with a certain stereotype to an extent.
Yep.
But understanding about Nigeria and all the rest of it, like Nigeria seems pretty dope. Like now I know pretty much the major cities that come in.
Yeah.
Especially Kitchener-Waterloo, there's a lot of Nigerian influence in terms of it, and in terms of death. Now, having a diverse in Nigeria, it's a different little runs over there because haircuts and stuff like that. And I think the bar is a little different too, right?
Yeah. You're right though. Yeah. But
I mean, you know what? My business could be franchisable.
Of
It would
course.
just take.
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Like I've had, I don't want to get into it, but I've had opportunity to expand into other places. But it would take a team of people to really see the vision and live with the vision. Because the look and the feel and the rest of it, you know what I mean? it'd be
What's
cool.
it gonna take? Sorry for cutting you short. Because I'm also particular about the time.
Yes, you are. I know. Yeah.
I know you
Look,
also
I
have
keep
to
going.
run very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, what's it going to take for someone to come and learn under you? Like, learn
First thing
barbing?
you got to go to school, because that means you're serious. I'm not. I've been with some guys that haven't tried to be cutting hair and say yeah, because talk is cheap. For someone to go to someone to school, say you know what, so someone to learn it. Like I've taught people, but they've been serious. They've either tried. I tried one time and he wasn't serious, so I said, you know what, no. Once you can go through all the stuff through school first, then come talk to me. I still have people coming to me that still cut hair and still want to kind of get, work with me, all the rest of it. But I wouldn't say that I would teach somebody one-on-one. I would be more of a bigger deal. Because teaching the game is like handing me everything that I know. Does that make sense? It'd be
I see.
bigger picture. It's like telling a doctor, teach me to become a doctor right now. You know what I mean? No,
they're
that guy developed
send
that
you to
whole
school.
through going through university and then went to med school and did his,
Yep.
all that
whole
stuff.
process, yeah.
To say, teach me everything you know is almost impossible.
That's true.
Every day that I sat there for 10 hours a day cutting hair was every single thing of learning and listening to what people want and what they don't want. And that's one thing you can't teach somebody. You can't teach somebody experience. You got to go through it.
They have to put in the work, bro. All the time.
That's a deep one.
All the time.
Even
Can't
it's the
teach
littlest
experience.
thing. Even it's
That's
the
a good
littlest
trait.
thing. The littlest thing. You know what I mean? And going through the experience of that, right? So in terms of someone teaching somebody, I think I'm at that level where I wouldn't teach somebody one-on-one. It'd be more of a bigger situation because there's so much to learn. Just from even like curly hair to even straight hair to even, especially nowadays, I find to be successful is you have to be versatile. You have to know many textures of hair. Thankfully, I was on that 20 years ago. Where my heart does not skip a beat. I don't care who's in the chair. You can
So you cut all types.
yeah, you can cut. I'll have a business professional, Caucasian white business professional sit in my chair, and I will not. I'll talk his language because I understand. It's a different approach to than cutting somebody that's a woman or somebody that's curly hair. They want particular things. We like sharp lines in lineups. There's not everybody out there that likes sharp lines. They don't want even to touch the hairline. So it's communicating what that.
For us, it's different. I know.
Some people, you have to communicate what they want
Yeah.
and perceive what they want. Some people, they tell you something subjectively, and you have to interpret it in your mind to see what they really want. And sometimes you can't even believe them because sometimes they may tell you, "Give me a number 4," and you take it to a 6, and then they're like, "Whoa, it's too short," or that. No, you don't get too often, but I mean, you have to interpret that, right? And you understand that. And I think if you do find a good barber, then work with them, and then sometimes it's a relationship that way. Sometimes your first haircut may not be the 100%. Sometimes it may take some time for it to
Get used to it, yeah.
right? So that's just in timing, right? And I think that's just being patient, understand the client, right?
So if it was not barbing, what was it going to be?
Ooh, I never thought about
know
that.
what
To
it
tell
would
you the
be.
truth, what would you think it would be? What?
Basketball.
What?
No. Sorry. You play golf.
There you
You
go.
play golf. You play golf. I remember.
No,
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
I do, but I'm very thankful that golf is there as an outlet.
So you play golf on your free time?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I play basketball too.
Nice.
And I go to gym. Callie Joe's my trainer, so and he trains me. Pick up big weight. I'm trying to keep up.
I don't want you to smash another
No, but-
blackberry.
But
How's Kyle's the trainer?
let me get
How
back
is he
to
the
that.
trainer?
So golf, whatever it is, basketball, in any job, I find you have to find an outlet. Anything you find, if it's swimming or going to something, find that outlet. Golf for me helps because it helps my wrist set. I do this cutting hair
nice.
and I do this playing golf. I walk a lot in golf and I stand 10 hours a day. So everything's counteracting. So if you do something too many, you find in this industry you get a lot of carpal tunnel. A lot of carpal tunnel in your hands. The good thing with golf and basketball and all this stuff, maybe we're lifting weights wrist to wrist. So I
That's
don't
a
have
wrist
any
movement, yeah.
long-term pain. So you asked me how I've been doing it as long as I've been doing because I've had a balance
Nice.
of doing other things to counteract it. If you're on your computer a lot, you're going to get carpal tunnel. So go outside and maybe throw a basketball or throw a ball or something. You know what I mean? To break that. Human beings, we're not meant to do the same thing every single day
over, yeah.
repetitively. We're meant to break the chain of doing other things.
As a joke, there used to be a guy who used to throw boxes this way.
Yeah.
So what happened is he didn't train that. So he got out and was doing this, continued to do that. So the same motion. So that's it.
Yeah,
That's
so-
a good point.
I would say now it's even worse because it's even worse because people are working remotely, right?
Yeah.
So
God,
it's harder now because you're in one place for so long.
Yeah, you're home,
right?
yeah.
So go outside and take a walk or go to the gym or something like that. Go to the
Very
gym for a little
important.
bit.
Very
Go
important,
do
yeah.
something.
Do something
Break
different,
that routine. Find that time for yourself. Find that personal times for yourself in terms of so you can get that reset because you're only going to come back to your job more restored than being in it. Find a time because you can't say, "Oh, I don't have time for the gym." There's always time for something. You make it.
Yeah,
100%.
I like
Of
that.
course.
I like that.
But
Yeah.
that's like every excuse. That's
Nobody wants a gym. Well,
Yeah,
because
it's
you have
an
to have the drive and the passion.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just-
we said it. We talk about that every
excuse,
time. If you say, most people tell me you don't have the time, and I look at them,
you have the time.
you're single,
Of course.
you don't have a kid,
nothing-
It's some motivation.
you don't even have an excuse.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
The
But
people,
you know what, Callie?
people always
It's
just make
not
time for what
easy.
they want, yeah.
It's not easy to be like for me in the gym. I've been working out with him for a couple of months, and I know because once you have a successful business, you know sometimes you have to do a little bit. How I look at success sometimes is not the big full bucket of water.
yeah,
It's the little drips.
Yeah. Yeah.
The little drips.
Yeah.
The little drips. So me going to the gym, Callie Joe said Barry was lifting the bar now. Now he sees me picking
oh
up
yeah,
a 1-2. It was
Huge.
little drips.
It's process,
And it's
yeah.
not even in that. You may not feel it.
Yeah.
But eventually, you might see a little quarter of that bucket.
Yeah.
Just watch nature. Nature's a great translation of life. You just got to look at that, right? You see little drips, and you see half the bucket. And as soon as that full bucket, and sometimes you got to toss it over.
Yeah, because
So it's not about pouring it in the sink and for the water to fill at one time as everybody. You think you go into the tap and fill up the water. No. It's those little drips of time. How does Callie get so big? His big legs and big.
These guys.
no.
I go to the
Let
gym
me
how long, right?
tell you what happened to Kevin. Let me tell you guys. Kevin was doing the bar, just the bar at the gym.
Yeah, the bar.
Right? The day Kevin did 45,
The day I
One
did
plate,
45,
guess
you
what
better
happened?
believe it.
Kevin screamed.
I scream.
Are you
He's
serious?
like,
Yeah,
he's
because
like, oh, God,
in my mind,
what's going on
45s
here?
And not even that, I'll still push it. Like 45s to
good,
me
man.
was like, wow, like, okay, we're moving.
yeah, it's on-
I've seen all these guys,
it's
I'm lifting their, and it's coming heavy.
But
But I just know sometimes it doesn't feel right, but just keep on doing it.
yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Because you know what? Success is not it always feels so good. It always doesn't feel so good.
Yeah.
There's night,
Yeah.
there's days, you know, downtown shop, I never used to eat all day. I go grind it out. Keep on grinding it out. It wasn't good on, not saying great on your health.
Yeah.
But for me, I can fast very long and cut hair for very long and still get not annoyed, right? Once you build something, one successful thing, you can translate to other things in life. Like being successful at the gym, being successful in other areas.
100%, man.
Because everybody has vulnerabilities. And you always have blind spots because we're not perfect, right? So you just understand what those vulnerabilities are and those blind spots are.
But Kevin, what I was that from you is because everything, even that success and even that gym, Kevin understands teamwork. Do you get what I mean? Because I didn't know when Kevin did the 45. Like, because why? Kevin was keeping track of the progress.
Yeah, like from
For
when
me,
it started,
I'll just come, let's just go, I don't look at you get what I mean?
Talk about- yeah,
You get what I
okay.
mean? Kevin understood the teamwork. So that scream is to tell the team, I'm making progress.
yeah.
There you go.
And everyone,
And then you know what?
that's what's up.
It's
Yeah,
usually very,
yeah.
very important
this.
to celebrate those progress.
yeah,
Yes.
because
Regardless of how small
much-
they are.
And you know what?
that was why I
Sometimes-
whipped up my phone.
in life, sometimes
In that,
you let
right?
your head down, but when you have success, celebrate them. You know what I mean? Because that's a monument of time where you try to achieve something, you got there. Not everybody makes it to that point.
No.
Look at what do we march now and everybody's slipping away from the gym now? You don't even know how it is.
That was January? That was January. It was crazy, right?
But Kevin,
Yeah.
Kevin, that teamwork is because I feel like that's the problem that majority of my own community suffer from.
Yes.
Individualism.
The art
I think
of
it's not just even your community. I think it's like black people in
the
general.
black people in general.
Like,
the
okay,
whole
I
the
just
whole
want to
art of
own
ownership.
myself, just me.
You know, I've
Right.
Instead of working together and collaborating with people.
Yeah.
I know how far my
Bro,
side hustle would have gone. I know how far he's on everyone here, right?
Yeah.
But the concept of ownership,
Doing
and-
it alone.
versus teamwork, is where it's one of the things you do really well. Because I think your family, people that work around you, is all a team. Because if not, I don't think Kelvin, you will be doing this now.
Right.
Because maybe you would have quit a Frederick or somewhere. I'll go
Right.
maybe go find another Manulife job or Sun Life, apply there and start
Right.
working there. You know, but I don't know if we still have time. Talk about that. How do that team? How do you work? How do you work in a team and still be successful, even when the team? Because that gym incident, it showed me that we were not keeping track,
Yeah.
but Kevin was.
Yeah.
But
Right.
Kevin showed the team that
Well,
this
I
is
think
the
everybody,
progress. Yeah.
say once they know their role and establish a role in terms of it, I think that's how it makes successful business, especially successful anything. You just gotta understand what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, right? So even though I may have weaknesses, and I do have my strengths, it's understanding what those weaknesses
Yeah.
are as a team, right? And everybody contributes somewhat. Cali Joe's the big guy that's telling me, you know what I mean?
I'm not the big guy, so they don't come for me. I'm not the big guy, so they don't come for me.
So it's just, it's understanding your role, right? In terms of everybody, and appreciate one another, who's contributing. Sometimes whoever's contributing well, right? And I think it's just enjoying, like the base, why, like I was telling people all the time, why I like with Cali Joe, because Cali Joe is energy consistent.
Of course.
He's always
always like
on point with his consistency. He's always there.
I come
He's
late
always there.
anyway, but that's fine.
Yeah. But his
snow day,
energy
remember?
is there, and he's always trying to push you more than you feel you could do it. Maybe sometimes too much, but I mean,
Listen,
I
But that's
I
how
saw
easy, I
this
can't
guy.
I already know.
I saw this guy training somewhere at the gym one time. I'm like, oh my god, this was 2 weeks ago.
You need some training?
Listen,
I've worked with him before. I know, man.
this guy. I'm like, okay, no, Kali, I actually don't want to work out with you.
Yeah, he pushes that. He goes all.
No. I was like, he
Yeah.
actually
But I mean,
goes
every
on
time
that.
that I call him up, so he knows it because didn't have a membership. But every time I call, he's there. Right? So,
Yeah.
as you say, that's why he's successful. That's why he's at the figure where he is in terms of it.
Yeah.
I know that him working out is not just working out. It's bigger than that. It's his whole psychological. It's his lifestyle.
lifestyle.
You look at
Yeah.
Kali Joe, it's not just him working out. He sees a big guy, big chest. I used to walk in the barbershop like, yo, that guy's huge. You can tell he loves the gym. He loves the gym.
Don't make it look as if I love the gym every day.
But you go every day,
think
man.
you
What
do
have
every
to
day.
say?
But you go
I pick
every
up my
day.
children.
I don't think Kyle has taken a week off ever since he started like working out.
Yeah, well,
How
I
about-
think,
how
about-
I think during
Wow.
during December he maybe during the last week of December he hardly goes.
That was it.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, it's
But you go every
passion.
day,
That's the
man.
thing. It's
Dedicated.
passion in
Good.
terms of it. And be very appreciative that you have the opportunity to do it.
Of course,
Appreciation.
Of
That's a
course.
key
Time
word.
too.
Of course.
Right?
Appreciate that you have the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Straight up.
As the
You know what?
this
I don't
conversation
know
we
if
still,
this-
we still
This will say our part two.
But is it,
you still have to have part two because I want to see. I want to hear Kevin of the next 10 years.
Yeah, so in
have
fact,
any. You know,
before
yeah.
before we deep, so how do you think the barbing industry and hairstyling industry is going to evolve? So where do you see it in 10, 15 years?
With AI,
Yeah.
Chat GPT,
I know.
Chat GPT.
I will never keep my head for a
I
machine to
know.
cut it.
Okay, so
Never,
the day,
bro.
No, I don't
that's
think so,
even a
no.
good question.
That'll be, I don't know.
yo, the day that machine starts cutting hair, then I'm done. Like totally.
Are you
Literally,
serious?
but I don't.
You know what? This mind here, this mind that God's given you is limitless, bro. Like the amount of stuff that I remember off of just somebody's haircut, what they told me what not to do, is phenomenal. Like sometimes someone tell me like, oh, how do you remember that stuff? I remember what not to do sometimes. So it's just like, oh, don't do that and do the. I throw that to do not to do you. Somebody I probably haven't seen in 5 years, and I remember, oh yeah, I used to cut your hair. Haven't seen you in 5 years. I'll cut your hair like I cut your hair yesterday. You know, to tell a computer that, tell him to do that exact same stuff and read me.
Last time,
I
yeah.
honestly
can't
don't
mimic
think
that.
computer-
I'll
I
tell
don't
you
want
the
that
day-
to come.
the day
Start
that
your
comes
headline,
out- Not even point of that.
Push
even feel and pressure points. How to press, how much to press the clipper. Some people like an aggressive hand. Some people like a little
Yeah.
softer hand.
I like aggressive.
To remember that, to remember that, it would have to take. There's nothing like, I think barbers were known as surgeons back in the day. They were like doctors. You know, that's one of the longest. I'm actually very blessed to say that have a barbering profession is one of the longest trades to ever have in life. It's been there since the beginning of time. You know, back in Egypt days, they used to, shave people's heads and all the rest of it. Like back in those days,
Yeah.
right? There were surgeons. There were
There's,
people of
those.
high position.
Wow.
Even from a relational perspective too, right? Whenever you can see amongst being around presidents, something you cut their hair and you see all the stuff behind the scenes and you hear all that stuff, right? If you're around people, very important people, you get to dig another layer past them. So it really comes down to people, but people have positions and titles, right? So at the end of the day, people, if you have hair, or maybe not have hair, but everybody's a person at the end of the day, right? Because not all most important people have good haircuts, you know. You know, yeah. There's some people out there that don't really have that great haircuts. One thing not to say, even on this off topic, but I mean, good thing nowadays, I think haircuts are getting a bit better on commercials. You know, because we're misrepresented in commercials. I think, especially the curly hair people, not really that great haircuts in the past. Like, who cut your hair? You know, like in I would say movies and stuff like that, or video commercials here in Canada. I think kind of behind in terms of being represented in terms of having good haircuts. You know, but
what are your thoughts? Like how do you think the industry is going to look in, I don't know, 10, 15
you know
years?
what? I really
regarding
don't know.
setting, regarding maybe like hairstyles. Trust me, there was a
haircuts-
time where
I think-
fade. Of course, like fade
I
is the
don't know.
thing now.
You know what?
Yeah, face.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know because
Kali, you don't do fade.
No, Kari, I don't
You know,
know.
I just know right now the pace is a little changed because everything's everything shuts down a bit earlier and all the rest of it. I find my business I do now is get in, get out. You talk in between, but you don't open as late. There's no 11 o'clock barbershop. People staying around.
11 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I've
Or
seen that.
9 o'clock at night. Even when you go to the city, everything's going more.
Everything's
virtual
closed at night.
platform.
Yeah.
People are the interpersonalness of having conversation in a barbershop is being limited.
Yeah. I think
Being
it's everywhere, not
disconnected,
just not
where
just
it is
not
being
just
sub with everything protocol possible. There's less interpersonalness within it. So, you know, I'm a type of person I don't look so far in the future. I try to stay enough where I see
Where you can
and
control.
what I can control. Seeing how the industry's moved, where now I moved to a somewhat of a half and half. People get in, get out. I don't know in terms of computer technology. I've seen robots and computers trying to cut hair, and I just laugh. It's just like it's like a knockoff, right? And I'm very, very thankful and blessed to say that these hands and this mind, in terms of it, can only do so much. You know what I mean? That computer will never think about doing. It doesn't have the touch. It doesn't have the. It doesn't have the feel. It doesn't have the heart.
Yeah.
Computer doesn't have a heart.
It's just a computer doing it. Yeah, it's
Computer doesn't have it. It's
it's
an
a robot.
algorithm. It's an algorithm. Right?
I
It knows
can't even think
A
of
and
that, man.
B,
That's just-
and it will drive you into a river. It won't say, turn another river. You're driving into a river because we built a bridge there 3 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I think everything you said in this podcast, one of the key things that keep coming up, he said, Kevin used the word, we're all humans.
Yeah, man.
That's actually, we're all people.
yeah.
You know, when I mention a celebrity, you're all people.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
That one is not people, but let's forget that one. That basketballer is not people. It's very important. If I see Jim
Don't get me
again at the store, because when I
Don't
saw
get me
him,
wrong.
it
I
wasn't.
think everybody in life, sometimes you have your levels, and you're
Well, that's true. Yeah.
you know, Michael Jordan walking the spot. Yeah, trust me, your heart's gonna beat two times because he's.
I will
been
close this
impacting
shop
his
down.
life. Yeah, he Bill Gates walk. You know what I mean? Not Bill
Lock
Gates,
it
but
down.
somebody very
2 hours.
important. I get
No one's
it.
coming in.
You got
But
it
at the end
comes
of
on
the
you,
day,
bro.
At the end of the day, we breathe the same air, man. The same, right? So, I mean,
That's a good
that's how I
point.
look at sometimes in life. Like, I'm very fortunate because I deal with a vast amount of different people out, vast in professions, people that are known as important people. There's some people that maybe not have the intellectual, but they're very
They're
smart.
very smart.
Yeah, life has taught them a way. Some people may be intellectual, but not really good practically to deal with life, right? So if you can have a mergence of both, the knowledge of, let's say, that in the life experience is a powerful factor to have. Because you may have all the documentation in a book and know everything in the book, but if you don't know how to relate it properly and sit down and how to
Theory.
relate to people and talk to people in their eyes and relate to people from an interpersonal perspective, then it's really nothing if you have a bunch of theory there that's not being implemented. You know what I'm saying?
Communication. One
Right.
of
You
the
may have the
best-
seed, but
yeah.
not have the water to pour on it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of, you know what I mean? Like it's got to come both and having
It
both.
works hand in hand.
Yes.
Nah, man.
So
That's a very.
getting that type of knowledge, same way, and having interpersonal skills, especially valuing people and understanding that people understand that you're not just there for business, but you're there To tell you the truth, most people I sell people stuff, they just trust me. I could sell them a whole bunch of stuff, but the trust factor is there that they know that I'm not skimming them or I'm making them feel valued. I'm making them feel like, okay, well, it's not just a haircut. Would you like something else? Then here you go. You know what I mean? If you feel, not getting wrong, but some people just need to sell their stuff. Sell your stuff for what it is.
Yeah.
My job itself. Some people, you'll never get me sitting in my barbershop and saying, okay, well, you have to buy this brush. You have to buy this. No.
Gonna help your hair. Yeah.
People ask me, oh,
Do you
Kev,
have-
what do you think about this? And I'll tell them. Sometimes I deter people from selling stuff for them because it may not work for them. I don't want to sell you something that's not meant for you. Just be straight up with people. Be direct with people. Sometimes you got to make a sale. When you make some industry, you have to sell
but
sell
still,
a product. That's your living.
Yeah.
But my job is not to upsell you on anything. Everything that I sell in my shop is practical. You're going to use on a day-to-day basis. That you're going to come back to me again and buy another one from me because it works. I hate people that sell me stuff that I don't need.
Yeah. Like some people just like sell to sell. They just want to make them. They don't care.
Just make money, bro.
Just buy this.
Yeah.
It's good.
No,
just
but
take it.
At the end of the day,
right?
sometimes
Which is-
I'm not a sales guy. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not saying
you
the
know,
best
yeah,
sales
yeah,
guy. Maybe the best sales guy will know how to work that down. But if you can dig deeper than, okay, you like these shoes. Okay, well, you want these shoes. No, well, maybe what do you need them for? Yeah. Oh, I need to work them out, but I have to have this. Okay, well, I have this shoe here.
Yeah,
You're going to remember that.
Yeah.
Then I just sell you that shoe that you just wanted off the bat. Oh, maybe don't get those because that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Sometimes when someone sells me that, I try to see, okay, what level are you at? Are you just trying to sell me a shoe or sell me something, or are you trying to dig to understand me to cater what I want to get?
Oh, man.
So digging in that extra level and
Do you have,
selling it.
do
Sorry.
you have a question or what?
Well, I think as we wrap up, one of the things that come to mind is Kevin is not just, it doesn't just have a shop in this community. Kevin sponsors things in this community.
Supports the community.
Supports the son.
Yeah.
Support football game. That's why I said this conversation, we might still have a part 2 because
Already, yeah.
those football teams Kevin is sponsoring here and there. Although I'm expecting him to sponsor the reason I'm saying this is we have a team and we expect
gotta be
Kevin
winning.
to sponsor our
You
team.
winning.
Yeah, we win.
But we
winning? You
will
winning?
talk about
Okay.
it.
You know,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
part 2. Yeah.
like,
I don't want no losers, man.
No, we
We're here.
last season was the only time we've lost.
Okay, good.
We didn't lose bad though.
We've always won all our league
good.
and everything.
Right.
But again, you need to lose in life to win.
so that you learn.
So yeah, I have
yeah.
sponsored like a lot of things over the years, and you know what? When people come to me, even if people have events, I'm well willing to tell people because I know I'm that networking hub. It's that underground scene where I have that hub where people come in and they're like, "Yo, what's that?" If it's 2 people or whatever in terms of it, I meet a lot of different people that's where the barbershop is so unique. Than any
Trust
other
me,
part.
man. Like
Everybody
that's
goes there, man.
that's people go for networking events and trust me, like the barber shop
yeah.
is
And
actually
It's a
like,
hub.
bro, it's a connector, man.
To tell you the truth, yeah.
Trust me.
To tell you the truth, I'm actually introvert at heart to an extent. I kind of have my own little space. A lot of people don't know I'm kind of social just recently. But the barbershop has allowed me to be more of an extrovert and understand people. And especially that when I go to grocery store, I can tell exactly. Thankfully, I'm in a barbershop. The barbershop has allowed me to read people real quick. And I can see when I can joke around with somebody. I can see when not to joke around with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Some people,
Sometimes
yeah,
I'm
some
that
people catch
guy where
feeling.
I'll joke around regardless because I just know that I can break that ice. If you're in your basement, you're watching news all the time, you can condition, then I can break that from you. Break the chain. Break your conditioning the way you perceive me, right? Because I'm around so many different facets of people that you've been conditioned by, right?
Oh.
Right? So that's another thing too. Since I'm around people, I'm aware of everybody's pockets. The barber knows pretty much everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? So he can kind of relate to everybody and understand certain things, right?
Wow.
It's allowed me to be more of an extrovert.
Listen, man. I
no.
appreciate you.
Kevin coming
Right?
through.
Okay, I got to keep on talking.
Like, I'm sure you for
Okay.
coming, bro.
Okay, bro. All right,
Yes,
bro.
sir.
What?
That
Any
was
joke?
good. That was good.
Oh, man. Thank you so much.
Okay.
bro.
Appreciate
I
you, Kevin.
appreciate you, man.
I can keep on talking for days.
No, it's